And now on Who's Views, it's time to join JT, Paul, and Third Doctor Ian for the latest headlines.
Hello, everybody. It's us at Who's Views. How are you? Yes, it's your big show on Friday, the 6th of June, 2025. How are you doing? We're back again. What a week it has been as well. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us once more for another edition of Headlines, because it's still crying and still going on, isn't it, everybody? Because have you heard the criticism over the last series of alleged Doctor Who continues right to this very day? We're going to be looking at some more of the stories surrounding it in this particular edition. And yes, the fans are still going for it as well. You know, a lot more fans that were loving all this stuff are now not so loving it. Have you seen all that? I'm sure you have. And still the BBC are acting the fool, because even today on their social media, everything's fine here, nothing to see. And what have they carried on and gone and done? They're now promoting the Jodie Whittaker era, which starts on their YouTube channel very soon. They're doing some sort of highlights or something. Have you seen all this, everybody? I wonder if these two have. Let's bring them on, because joining me, as usual, I've got Third Doctor Ian and I've got Paul. Hello.
Hello.
Have you seen this today?
Hey.
That's going to be a short series, isn't it? The high points of Jodie Whittaker. It's going to be like intro credits and then end credits, and that's it.
I thought, especially when I saw this on the social media, I thought they're going to have something to say about this, because apparently they've been doing this thing over the last few weeks with each of their modern doctors.
Yeah.
And tomorrow it's Whittaker's turn.
Well, if this was a book about Whittaker, it'd be a pamphlet, wouldn't it? You know, so it's yeah.
That's why they were shooting. Yeah.
Just a flyer, wouldn't it? And a little A5, if not A6.
Yeah.
Flyer.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, smaller the better, to be honest.
Yeah. Anthony Parkinson's brother saying the mood in fandom is very low, and I was feeling it today, to be quite honest. Honestly, I don't know what it was today, but I was really starting to feel this sort of depression, and I'm beginning to think, having thought about it, maybe the reality, guys, is hitting these really obsessed fans of the show that it's very probable it's not coming back. What do you think?
Well, I think it's definitely time to dust off your copy of Doctor in Distress. I think, yeah. Blow the dust off it.
Can I just say, I do not have a copy of that in my collection.
I don't either. I did have one. I remember when it came out, my friend went and bought it for me. I asked him specially. He was going to the town. I wasn't at that particular time, and he bought it for me. And he was the one that got embarrassed to buy it. So that was interesting. So, yeah.
I've never had a copy because I have way too much self-respect.
I don't believe that for a moment.
No.
What, the self-respect bit? Yeah, fair.
Yes.
Julianne's asking us, the Jodie era, or the BBC pretending Jodie's era never happened? No, that's obviously going to be next, because what they've been doing is some of you might know, I've not been paying attention apart from the fact that you do see it. They've done Matt Smith, they've done David Tennant, and they've done these sort of things where it's just showcasing episodes and pushing the episodes together as era tapes, as we used to call them, really, on the YouTube channel. So Ncuti will be next. That'll be very short. It'll be all about Rogue, I guarantee you. And Marine Boy 66 saying to us, the shills are turning, but unfortunately not all of them. Yeah, and it's the ones that aren't that are the most vociferous right now. They're like little velociraptors. They are absolutely snapping at absolutely everything, and they're there. And it's the same people all the time. They're the ones that are going to have a real breakdown coming up soon. Honestly.
Well, let's hope so.
Well,
perhaps they can all engage in a letter writing campaign to the BBC.
Do they know what a letter is?
They probably can't coordinate a pen and paper, can they, really?
Oh, no. Well, they wouldn't know what a pen and paper is.
If it's not on a keyboard that they can hit with their little flippers,
they won't know. Legion of James was saying the high points of Jodie's era, perfect for tiki-toki, all 5 seconds. And Duncan the Funky Evans is saying Ncuti actually made me feel like watching Jodie again. Please help me. Yeah, we're sending men with white coats around right now.
There are toilets available.
Doctor Who is a national laughingstock, says Woodhouse122. It really is, isn't it? Absolutely, it's terrible. It's got back to that. It's been happening for some time, but it has got back to that point now, and it is embarrassing for all of us as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is embarrassing. Julianne saying, "Okay, Paul, your friend bought
Yeah,
it."
I know. I have a friend. Yeah.
She's got your number.
And next they will say this era was the longest running April Fool's joke, says Noodle Arms. Oh my goodness. It's Carl Goddard saying, one for Paul. I'm meeting Paul McGann again tomorrow, getting a joint photo with him and Peter Davison in costume at Comic Con in Nottingham.
Oh, they both in costume. Superb, they are.
Yeah, well, have a great time.
When I met Paul, he didn't have a costume. Neither did Davison either. I'm really disappointed on that. Yeah.
I would have looked at them funny, but you know, people are like, it's fine. Have a great time there, Carl, tomorrow. Let me know what it's like. whosviews1@gmail.com, and let's see your pictures as well. We'll throw them in the show if you don't mind. And PTA, thank you for your super chat. If it does come back, I'm seeking therapy. I'm already in it.
Yeah.
Honestly,
we're part of it.
Whose views is the only therapy you need, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we can work it all out. Honestly,
we look after your PTA.
Thanks, PTA. And David Harding saying, I once bought what I thought was a 78 RPM single of the Howl Doctor Who theme, which I still love to listen to. Unfortunately, when I got it home, it turned out to be a horrible disco. Oh, I know the one you mean. Oh, happy days.
Was it? What's it? Winston. What's the son name? Son named Winston. I can't remember what the first name was of that album. What's his name now?
No, there was that disco version in that time when they were doing Star Trek and everything. Star Wars. There was the Doctor Who version and Mankind, wasn't it?
Well, Mankind's kind of one of them, yeah. But then Jeff Loves Jeff Loves another one. Remember that?
That's
one?
not disco.
That's a classic.
Not disco.
You can't diss Jeff Love.
You can. I'm sure you can. You can. If you can diss Doctor and Stretch, you can diss that.
The Jeff Love one I can diss because it was terrible.
Yeah.
Bless him. But then all of the orchestral ones were back then because they tried too much to be Doctor Who, you know, and there was no sound effects or anything in them because they couldn't have that for copyright reasons. Hello, panel, says Ark in Space. Well, hello to you. Been a while since I watched the live show. How very dare you? But welcome back. That finale has hit the final nail in the coffin for me. Well, you're not alone. There are lots of people in the same situation. Talking of which, I just want to say a huge thank you again for everybody that's been getting in touch this week via comments and, of course, emails to the channel. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. It's down there for you. It's whosviews1@gmail.com. whosviews1@gmail.com. I'd like to say, especially this week, thank you to Rodney Strickler, to Paul Urbus, I think it is. Problem being, to Colin Smith, to Sticksboy73, to Mark Holtz, to Michael Hallett, David Harlow, Alan Iveson, MW56101, to Connie360, to Gary Bryant, to Fish with Bow Ties, David Phillip, Lorraine Sheridan, Lance Uppercut, The Mysterious Stranger 42, Austin Woods, Nibbles 69, Raymond Williams, Demorpin, Cody W1, Steve Ada, Constable Hansy, Radium 7982, Forrest Gump, Directions of Red, Steve Kite 2374, Michael Gibbons, Boo Jabbert, and Stephen Braddock, and to the Legion of James. Thank you so much, everybody, for your emails this week. Wow, fantastic. Hey, now, speaking of Instagram and social media and all this sort of stuff, who's ready to see the latest teaser from Lee Binding? Yes, because yesterday, yesterday, Lee Binding released another one of his little teasers to say, guess what the next Blu-ray limited edition box set is. See if you can tell from his post. Want to know the next Doctor Who collection cover? He says it's going to be. Here you are. For a few saucy details, you can also go over to his TikTok, which is a video. Which I don't do TikTok, so no. But this was the Instagram. Thanks for Kirsty for sending me this one over. I asked Kirsty, he's just released something. Can you go and get it for me, please? And she did. Thank you very much. And here it is. They're the colours that are included in the next collection box set. Now,
it is so obvious what it is, isn't it? So obvious. Can't you tell?
Go on, what is
I'd love to say guess what it is yet, but it is kind of like.
Go on then. What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, let me see. Oh, don't know those colours. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. It could be that kind of the colours of Frontios. Maybe kind of Tractator colours. I don't know. Maybe. What do you think?
Well, it does tie in with
A Gravis, it could be, yeah. Tractator testicle could be, yeah.
No. Let's no. It does tie in with the Caves of Androzani target novel.
Oh, does it? All right, okay.
Yeah, well, the original target novel was blues and reds and oranges.
The one with Charlotte Jet's face, yeah.
And the regeneration at the top.
Yeah.
I heard a while ago, who viewers, I don't know about you, that season 21 would be the next limited edition box set. But now, what happened last time is he put this teaser out, and then it was announced a week or so later. So stay with us here on the channel, because if that's the pattern, we will be coming back to talk about the limited edition release, which I think will be 21, but no guarantee. What do you guys think in the chat? Let's have a look. Well, to Chrissy B 5150. Nice to see you. Some say that Doctor Who was once a reality of enjoyment. Now say enough is enough. Supposedly we will hear Saturday. I've heard. Please no more. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that in this particular show, because we're going to be looking at Doctor Who Unleashed, where it's rumored that there's going to be some sort of hint about the future of the show. Carl is saying to us, I'll email you the photo along with a few others. Thank you, Carl. What else is that? What do anybody think anything about that in the chat? The chat is. So, what do you guys think it's going to be 21?
It could be 21.
Noodle Arms thinks it's going to be 21, doesn't he? Duncan Funky Evans 16 or 21. Cody W1 13. But I think 21 probably.
As long as it's not season 2. I mean, the recent one we just had. I don't care. Really.
Yeah. Well, has anybody else got any more there? Yeah, the Carcass is saying the rumours it's 21. There's Noodle Arms there. My chat's now catching up with you all. I don't understand why there's delays between the two platforms here. It's very odd. Sliver Wolf is saying that's difficult. Not. What do you think it's 21 as well then, Sliver Wolf? Duncan is saying 16 or 21.
Can we see key to time vibes on that? You think maybe?
I can't yet.
Possibly.
No, I can't yet.
Is that blue purpley thing Romana's outfit from Tara? I don't know. Could be maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
Clutching at straws there a bit.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what I was doing.
I'd say it was more burgundy for her thing. Cody W1 13, and Dave Harding is saying 21 will complete Peter Davison and Colin Baker's runs. Yes,
yeah,
that's it. With that near to it now. With that near to it. And then Legion of James just saying limited edition release, then hopefully the next standard release just after. Well, apparently there is a standard edition coming, Legion of James, as well. I can't even remember where we're up to. Can't remember. Mystery Purple Colour 21, says Julianne. And Woodhouse 122 saying, I think it'll be 13.
Have you had season 20 yet in the normal edition? No, standard edition.
No, we haven't. No.
That must be near. Must be near. Yeah.
Must it? I've lost where we're up to now. I think it's one of the Pertwees we got to last. I can't remember.
Was that season 9 you got last time, or was it? I think, yeah.
No idea. I've lost count because I put them all in order, broadcast order. So I don't do them release order. So I don't know where we're up to. Smiley people, my age, 21. Yeah. Gut feeling is 21, says John. Oh wow! Now you're getting into it, everybody. Well done. That's the talent of Wayne Chai. And let's see, Ezra's goes with us as well. And Stephen O'Neill saying to us, I hope they eventually do John Pertwee's final season on Blu-ray and the Key to Time. Well, yeah, they will do. Yeah, it's just a matter of time. Jules, hello, Jules Sherwood. Please be season 21. And Truth is up there saying it's especially released Reality War VHS to boost the viewing figures. that desperate, anything could happen. 21, back when RTD was still a virgin, says Frankie. The standard release will be 20, says Rick Storm. Right, is that where we're up to? Good. I could do with season 20 again right now. Thank you. Stephen Braddock says he also said the cover was murky, the Merca possibly. Yeah, it would make sense, wouldn't it? And season 21, wonderful, says Mark A. Wright. The Twin Dilemma no longer will be at the bottom of my story list. Thanks, Ncuti. Yeah, as I've been saying, Mark, I will watch the Twin Dilemma with relish now and love every minute of it, because it's genius compared to the nonsense I've had to put through over the last 8 weeks. So I love it. I've decided. Keep your chats coming, everybody. We're going to move on now because we've got another story, and it involves this fella.
You say fella in the loosest possible terms, don't you?
Yeah. Ncuti Gatwa. It's still quite hard to understand that actually we've now got the complete Gatwa. It's done.
Era.
It's dusted.
Yeah.
You know, it's that was it.
Well, like we
Like-
said, it's more like a pamphlet, like Jodie's era, kind of, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it might have gone in the blink of an eye, but it hurt.
Oh, didn't it just?
Certainly
Yeah.
did.
Honestly, it was exhausting over the last 2 years with all that nonsense. And then I'll add the David Tennant stuff into that as well, because that was bloody awful as well. But guess what? Some people, i.e. the Radio Times, thinks he deserves a bit of credit. Ncuti Gatwa deserves just as much praise as Christopher Eccleston after early Doctor Who exit, says Olivia Garrett in the Radio Times. While Gatwa certainly deserved more time as the Doctor, he most definitely didn't need it. Really? Shall we see what she's saying there? And then we'll discuss. Here we go. Nearly 20 years have passed since the day Eccleston regenerated into David Tennant on Doctor Who, and yet the memories are just as vivid as if it were yesterday. Granted, I may have rewatched it a few times, but stay with me. I remember poor Devastation. It's a good job the ratings were different back in those days then, weren't they? Really, she's watched it over and over and over again. I remember pure devastation and confusion pummeling my 4-year-old brain as I didn't understand where the saviour and protector I had grown to love over 13 episodes had disappeared to, or why he was suddenly replaced with a cheeky grin, floppy-haired stranger wearing his clothes. 2 decades on, I have a lot more understanding as to why an actor like Christopher Eccleston, or indeed Ncuti Gatwa, would choose to leave Doctor Who. What with the uncertainty of the Disney Plus deal and the show's future in general, not to mention a wealth of career opportunities ahead of him, but still there was no less heartache involved as I watched him wrap up his tenure as the 15th Doctor this weekend, gracefully bowing out after just 2 seasons on the show. I won't bother to pretend I'm not upset that this immensely talented actor has said goodbye to his Doctor, having never faced the Daleks, Cybermen or the Master, or the fact that 2 seasons of 8 episodes, 3 of which were Doctor Light, is just a third of what we saw of David Tennant and Matt Smith's Doctors. In short, he deserved more time. But this is not a piece for moaning or mourning. It's a piece for celebration, because while Gatwa certainly deserved more time as the Doctor, he most definitely didn't need it. After 2 seasons, the sex education star deserves just as much clout and respect as any other Doctor for the impact he's had on the series, the character, and the fans. For me, he goes right into the Christopher Eccleston Hall of Fame. His statue just 1 plinth over from Joe Martin and Paul McGann. I think that says it all.
Well, that's all right
it?
then. Yeah.
When Christopher Eccleston rebooted the show, he brought the Doctor bang up to date for a 21st century audience, balancing bright-eyed mischief, joy, and immaculate comic timing with waves of grief and unbridled rage. He was the most real and well-human the Doctor had ever been. While he still remained mysterious and unpredictable, seamlessly flowing between outbursts of anger to monologues of hope in a single episode, we understood and saw him as a 3 or more dimensional character who was more than a match for the other TV dramas of the age. Ncuti Gatwa has done the same. In a time where mysterious, heroic characters are a somewhat oversaturated trope on TV, the actor has once again moved the Doctor to the front of the pack and modernized him. How? By being shamelessly, unapologetically himself. From saying babes and honey to jumping with excitement in public and skipping around the TARDIS ramps in private, this Doctor is joyful and authentic to the nth degree. Even the fact that he changes his look every episode, a sticking point for some traditionalists, is part of this. Gone is the strict uniform that breeds a sense of detachment from the Time Lord and his surroundings. Gatwa's Doctor absolutely revels in the places and cultures he travels to and assimilates into them. He wants to see, hear, and feel all of it. Feeling is the biggest point in this. I know many jokes have been made about Gatwa's perfectly formed single tear, but there is something bigger behind it. Although the Doctor has always valued life and tried his best to save everyone he can, this is different. For the 15th, every life is sacred and celebrated. Every death is mourned, and he feels the importance of that on a much deeper level. Because of this, every side character feels so whole, and their decisions feel weighted. Take the story in the engine from this series. The Doctor's friend Omo betrays him by allowing him into the barber's trap, where this would have previously been glossed over with a wrathful look or threat. Gatwa unleashes the full force of his hurt and loss, telling Omo his safe space has been taken away. While some might say this takes away some of the Doctor's power, I say it gives him more. He shows his fear, sadness, and trauma, and yet still walks away victorious, still gives people his forgiveness. He shows every single emotion and still comes across as unstoppable. He also shows the Doctor's shortcomings and ego more freely. In the Robot Revolution, seeing Belinda call him out for his assumptions and for taking her blood without permission, and likewise seeing him apologise for it so quickly, was unbelievably refreshing. I love the Doctor, But I think all Martha Jones fans will agree with me when I say he doesn't apologise or admit his mistakes nearly enough. This approach of making the Doctor more open, more free, and more true than ever is something that just feels right for the character in the 2020s. However, the series moves forward. It seems clear that a being with two hearts should feel and show everything. In that, Gatwa has created a new legacy and hopefully changed Doctor Who for good. All this comes before we even touch on the fact that Gatwa is the first black man to play the role. I'm not the person to give an opinion on how that has been represented, but I can say that seeing him definitely navigate the different levels of racism and prejudice throughout history has been inspiring. His speech in Lux says it all. I have toppled worlds. Sometimes I wait for people to topple their world. Until then, I live in it and I shine. Shine is certainly the word for it. This Doctor has glimmered, sparkled, and shone more than a supernova across 18 episodes that have all varied in tone, type, and quality. For me, he has been the constant bright spot. His brightness and energy has been infectious, drawing the eye and leaving you unable to look away. I am unbelievably sad to see him go so soon, but I wholeheartedly believe that the light and legacy he leaves will shine down on Doctor Who for years to come.
What was she watching? What show was she watching? Really? What?
Shine is not the word for it. Shite is the word for it. Shine is not.
Yes.
And you're not deserving of clout. You bring clout to a role, don't you? You don't deserve clout. I mean, he deserved a clout. Obviously, that'd have made him cry, but he didn't deserve clout.
I can't stand this word that they're using now. Such and such deserves a series. Such and such deserves this. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
It has to be earned.
What's he
You
done?
have to earn it. You have to earn that respect, earn that clout, earn that doctor that he's meant to be playing, and he's not. You know.
That just seems to me like taking all the BBC propaganda since 2023, mixing it up and falling for it.
Yeah.
Quite
And it's
honestly.
an insult to the other doctors, even Joe Martin, that they mentioned that he's on a par with any of them. He's dreadful. He was awful.
Joe Martin isn't even the Doctor.
I know, but they're including on that, and compared to what he did for a couple of scenes she had, she was much better in the same way Jodie was in the last one. But it's like he's still awful. He's still an awful Doctor, and I didn't feel anything at all. He didn't leave gracefully at all. I was bored. I was glad to see the back of him. I really was, honestly.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Let's see what you're saying in the chat then. Was this written by his agent? Says Demorpin. It's shining like a polished turf, says Stephen Braddock. He couldn't topple a Jenga tower. John wants to know, is this person on drugs? Probably.
They're on something, certainly.
If not, they should have been.
Oh. And Marine Boy 1966, and she thinks her glowing insight is going to chance others' opinions, does she? Poor girl. I read this a couple of times, and it just screams to me, as I say, it's just false. It's false.
Yeah.
It's giving. She might generally have this opinion, but it smacks me of an opinion that is going to appease certain people and possibly give her a job or keep her in a job.
Yeah,
it sounds like she's been fed this by someone else. It really does. This, like you say, it's like a kind of taken cut and paste from somewhere else, isn't it? Really, to be honest.
Well, she's been instructed to write a positive article and sing his praises and just make it up, because there's nothing to praise him for, is there? I mean, Joe Martin wasn't a doctor, but Gatwa wasn't either, was he really?
No.
And neither was Whittaker. None of that was there just was not the Doctor in any of those portrayals.
In the article, she was comparing Paul McGann and Eccleston to him, wasn't it? Yeah, it's like, really? Even McGann, who did one movie, really, was
they
the
can
Doctor.
Out-act him in their sleep.
Yeah.
Noodle Arm saying to us, remember when the fifth Doctor said Braveheart Tegan just like he was, and now we have a weak, soft Doctor who is like a stroppy child. I do remember very, very well, because this is what Russell's done wrong. He's written the character far too human, because that's what he believes society is like today. And this all comes back to RTD's not getting society right, and why he's annoyed, because society will not do what he wants them to do. And that's the same, I think, with most of the people around him and the entertainment business. They think that they're better than us. I've said this before, and they look down on us, and they want society to do a certain way. And it stems from Brexit onwards, right? And they've judged everybody around them, and they've gone too far. It's going back to that, also the Isaac Newton thing. They knew that would upset people, race swapping Isaac Newton totally unnecessarily. and therefore, infecting Doctor Who with nonsense. And in the Star Beast, we had all the pronoun nonsense because they know it's going to wind people up. And they're so busy being activists, they've forgotten how to do their jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could tell, couldn't you, right from the very start with the pronouns in Star Beast, the way it was going to go. And by the end of that episode, when it was all saved because he was trans, you just knew the writing was on the wall, wasn't it?
Yeah, immediately. Yeah. And it's a shame because all we wanted was science fiction, and he wouldn't give it to us. And everybody followed him and cheered him and slapped him on the back and said, "How brilliant are you?" Well, you've got a massive flop on your hands now. And that Radio Times article needs to understand that. Andrew Brennan's with us saying RTD wrote a gay show with a lot of unsubtle messaging and surrounded himself with people who thought just like he did. A lot of the messaging he was putting in there as well, Andrew, of course, was unsuitable for a younger audience.
Yeah.
And suggesting certain things that children shouldn't, call me old-fashioned, need to know.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly.
Virtual Baz, I was wondering, did the TARDIS food dispenser for this so-called season only produce fried chicken and watermelons? Probably. I'm not sure what you're getting at, but I'll say yeah, probably.
I think that's a certain racial stereotype.
I think it may be, yes. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's gone over my head. Sorry about that. And leaving aside Gatwa's performance, says our John, which was piss poor, let's not forget that he told the fans not to watch and to touch grass. Yes. So these people seem to conveniently forget that, don't they, our John? These journalists and stuff. Why should we be mourning the departure of Ncuti Gatwa? Why should we?
They didn't learn any lessons from Whittaker, did they? When she came in, I think before an episode was shown, she was waxing off about how she wasn't there for the male gaze. I mean, I'm a male and I sure as hell wouldn't gaze at her anyway, so I don't know what she was on about. But she was on about the male gaze, wasn't she? And don't be afraid of her gender, which is the biggest way to piss off a load of regular viewers. Just say bollocks like that. But then he comes in and very early in his tenure says about the touching grass. And it's just like, no, you ballsed it up again, idiot.
And it was allowed to. It was allowed to.
Yeah.
And this is what was getting me at the time. The fact that they didn't actually learn anything, they didn't build on anything, they didn't actually look at the failure of this. I think, we've got to have some social media etiquette training here, or you can't say this, or just get on with the job. And Russell was at the forefront of it, going to various award ceremonies and kicking off.
Yeah.
Jason Parker, meaningless paragraph filling, deserves a series for a character which was a non-story. Doctor Who didn't deserve a series, for goodness sake. Thank God this era is gone and it's soon going to be forgotten. I think it's already forgotten, to be honest, Jason. Have you noticed that from the whole rush around the media about Billy Piper and the stupidity around Billy Piper? Billy Piper is the Doctor, etc., etc. To that which we know was Russell desperately clinging on to something, wasn't it? Desperately trying to do something for the ending to get Disney to pay for another series, as if Disney knows who Billy Piper is, for crying out loud. But it was just I don't understand why these people can't just say this was terrible. Some of them have been very brave and done that. But I do think that from the beginning of the week, I don't think even that captured the public's imagination, to be honest, Jason. I don't know what you guys think.
There's been some comments on BBC Radio, haven't there, that's not been exactly complimentary, which is breaking ranks and quite refreshing, to be honest. It's unlike the BBC, to be honest, isn't it? But they obviously sounded
BBC it. At all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there have been some comments in there. But of course, from the alternative media, a lot of comments. But from the public,
they don't care. They don't care at all.
No.
They've gone a long time ago, didn't they?
Ages ago, didn't they?
Yeah, they came back. I think some of them came back for Tennant, as did some of the fans. Saw the Star Beast, checked out the week later.
Yeah.
As my friend said, he watched it on Saturday. He doesn't normally watch, and he watched it. He said, "I didn't expect that," but he knew who Billy Piper was, but I knew that she was Rose. But it was like, what, So.
Lex, thank you for your super chat. The BBC are really milking it, putting Jodie Whittaker awful era of her first season on YouTube, Doctor Who's channel. I won't be watching it. Yeah, that's what I was talking about at the top of the show. That's what they're doing. They're doing another one of these what we used to call the era tapes, because that's what we used to have back in the era. That's what I call them, the era tapes, because we had the Hartnell and we had the Patrick Troughton years, we had the John Pertwee years, and we had the Tom Baker years and the Colin Baker years, you know.
The Tom Baker years were the best one. That was good.
Oh yeah.
Tom's was brilliant. Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant, that one. And
mainly because he watched them, didn't he? Watched the clips live. I hadn't seen them ever before or once before and couldn't remember a bloody thing. It was wonderful. It really was.
Exactly. Yeah. Shows how good an actor he was, though, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
The way he was walking through the prop store, seeing the monsters go, beat you, cock.
Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah.
I loved that exhibition. That was Mommy.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Back in the day. And I loved that back in the day, going there. That was just wonderful because that was the first time I'd ever seen these things without glass in front of them. So it was really quite special. I remember, you can sort of try and touch them, although there was some guy there.
And that's what a crag looks like, was one of the thoughts went through your mind,
Yes. I'll be honest, I'm a fan. I was like, yeah.
The means we could use some carpet tiles, wasn't it? That was the thing.
Yeah, it was. Thank you for your super chat, Digby. The whole era has become one enormous attack on the fans and wider British society. RTD has burnt so many bridges. And that's a great point, that, Digby. Thank you very much, because what's going to have to happen with there is any new production deal, BBC Studios are going to have to wake up to the fact that there is no audience. 1 million is not an audience worth ploughing millions of pounds, dollars, whatever it's going to be, into producing a show. You know, I think the acting profession may already realize that because they hadn't cast a new Doctor. And why would you? If there's the only reason they would cast a new Doctor is if there's a new series. You know, although the rumor out there, guys, I don't know if you've seen the rumor out there, has that Piper has said she would do a series.
Yeah, but she's only wait 3 years for that, is she? Let's be honest. She's not,
It's money in a bank, though, isn't it? No actor's going to turn down some easy loot. But whether it happens or not is totally something different. And
I think after what's happened with Gatwa, I think any actor and any agent would be a little bit reticent. To be honest, do you really want to go for this? Really? It's not going to get you into America. It hasn't been so good recently. It hasn't been well received. You know. I reckon some agents would say, right, it's coffee time. If any actor said, "Oh, I'd like a go," especially if RTD's attached.
What would be interesting to see? I'm not overly interested in following his career, but what happens with Ncuti now? Where he goes from now? I know he's got this playing Marlowe, fair enough, but what's going to happen with him in film and TV in the future? Will his star continue to rise that people keep claiming was happening, or is it going to go like that? You know.
Well, we're going to have to. We'll keep an sort of eye on it. I'm not that bothered about him, to be honest.
Well, neither am I. But it's interesting to see if it does go that way rather than that way. You know,
if he gets his big stellar break in Hollywood, because he's got this movie coming out with Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch, hasn't he? So that's on its way very soon. So if that
is it called The Roses or something like that?
The Roses, yeah.
Is it a remake of that film that Michael Douglas did with what's her name, Kathleen Turner? The one that film they did in the 90s or 80s, something like that. Is that the same?
No clue.
Remake of that? Yeah.
No clue. No idea. Won't be going to see it either. Quite honest. But if he suddenly gets stellar and huge, we'll know about it, won't we?
Yeah.
I can't see it though. Can you imagine?
No, neither can I. That's why I was speculating about it. Yeah.
I Paul
Toast. You ever see Toast of London?
See what? Sorry.
Toast of London with Matt Berry.
No.
Right, it's worth watching. But at one point, his agent recommends Doctor Who, and his first response is that.
Right.
It'd be like that now. What about Doctor Who? That.
Yeah.
Right. So possible foreshadowing there.
Oh yeah.
Well, have you seen the Ricky Gervais sketch that Tennant did? And Ricky Gervais is like mess store kind of thing.
That's an extras.
Yes, extras. That's what it was. Yeah, and that's what Doctor Who is seen like in the public eye now. It's like that. It's that kind of parody of itself. It's exactly what that was. Yeah.
What's this from Rick? I heard that Doctor Who season 1 has been penciled in for Tuesday, the 24th of June, 2025 release. Not sure if this is a re-release of Gatwa season 1 or if it's Hartnell season 1.
Oh.
Well, it can't be the Blu-ray for Hartnell, because there's still issues over that one.
Unless they've been resolved. You know.
They would make a song and dance about that.
Possibly,
yeah. There would be some sort of news saying, "Hurrah! Look what we've done, and it's on my player now," and blah blah blah. I don't know. But I know there's something coming, a Blu-ray announcement coming soon. You have to stay with us. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you still subscribe to the channel. Paul Toastland is saying, I was out after the something male presenting Time Lord line. Oh, in the Star Beast.
Yeah.
I think that's where millions suddenly went.
Oh,
Oh, it's not changed. You know, I was so disappointed because I was coming back from it after, you know, not seeing the Whittaker and Chibnall era, just simply because I don't like Chris Chibnall, never did, and I was so full of enthusiasm, and it started quite well. That scene with David Tennant and his whatever it was doing, and you know, he's just sitting there in that shipyard or whatever it was. I thought that's quite nice.
Yeah.
And then it just went weird. And Donna was weird, and I just didn't like it from them. And then that whole thing,
like a parody of herself, really. She was, I think she was playing almost a parody of herself. She was like just rehashing the extremes of Donna, rather, because Donna occasionally had calm, sensitive moments. Do you remember at Planet of the Ood where that Ood in the snow died? She was really quite sensitive and everything, but it just seemed like she was a typical pastiche of Donna rather than Donna herself.
I wish they'd done the Star Beast without Donna in it. And if they were going to do the Star Beast, just make it Tennant traveling on his own like there was in the comics with Tom, and did the straight story of the Star Beast and just did that and kept that to be as faithful as possible to the comic strip. Would have been lovely, you know. But
hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Because it's not what I expected, and it's not what I wanted. And I think you could have done 3 hours of the Star Beast and made it into a big movie with a brand new Sharon.
Yeah.
For those of you who might not know, the Star Beast, and we reviewed the comic strip here on this channel back in 2023, by the way, had an original debut of an original character called Sharon, and shock horror. Not only was she a woman, a girl rather, she was black. Surprise! 1970s Britain, 1980 Britain. Ta-da! And it was a much better story from those two geniuses. And RTD got hold of it and bastardized it and turned it into his own and shoved his own agenda into it. It's such a shame because it was such a waste. One of the best comic strips.
It was a cracking story.
The only good thing about it was the Meep and the Wrath Warriors were quite faithful. But apart from that,
But it's like you guys have been saying on our reviews and here on Headlines, he's got no imagination.
Yeah.
So to plagiarize somebody else's like this, he couldn't even come up with a storyline to start this off. But I would have done personally, I would have done it to Mills and Wagner's storyline, kept it like that, and introduced a one-off companion, or introduced it as a companion that got him through. Hindsight's a lovely thing, as I say.
There's some wonderful wacky moments in Star Beast as well, which were completely lost, which is such a shame, you know.
Yeah. Thank you for your super chat, Lex. One only thing that was Doctor Who was the pictures of good old Tom Baker at age 91. He is truly still our beloved alien and true Doctor Who. Well, he is. He's the Doctor, isn't he?
Yeah.
And although there's been a lot of them, there's not many of them.
Yeah. I saw what you did there. Yeah.
Thank you. The restart point is saying Tennant becoming gay and fancying an Indian Newton pretty much set the whole thing. Yeah, that was just embarrassing, cringe-worthy stuff. He had to do it, RT, didn't he? He had to put all this clear nonsense into the show, and it's just embarrassing. And
to say Tennant was a fan of alleged long-standing.
Yeah,
he could have said no, that's not the Doctor, but he's just happy to toe that woke line. It's terrible.
Well, no, because he's so obsessed with his own activism.
Yeah.
And he thought, I genuinely believe, everybody, that he thought, I can put this all into Doctor Who and I can educate millions of people. Got that wrong, didn't you, Russell?
Yeah.
Because the millions of people that used to be there know better.
You were talking about these kind of Doctor Who channel YouTube videos that are on at the moment. They put one on with Ncuti, a little bit of his stuff on, and this wonderful bizarre commentary that anyone can be the Doctor. I completely disagree with that, because everyone can't be the Doctor at all. You know?
No. Yeah. That's awful. You've got to have a talent, haven't you? You know, and we haven't seen that talent for some time now, in my estimation.
No.
Sorry, but no, didn't like it at all. Julianne says to us, Tate was playing Nan in the Star Beast.
I would have preferred Nan. I would have
Yeah.
preferred Nan, to be honest.
Nan would have been funny,
Yeah.
you know. You'd have to have a toned down version of that character, of course.
Or at least a bleeper in the episode at the very least.
Yeah. But I think a Nan, somebody's gran.
Yeah.
I mean, look what happened with Wilf, with the legend that was Cribbins.
Yeah.
He got away with it, didn't he? He did really well. With somebody of that talent, that
That'd be
caliber.
great. They could have made Donna's Nan. That would be brilliant. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. Yeah. Yeah.
But an older companion like Wilf works if played by the right actor and if written correctly. Because, of course, a lot of this was because the whole thing wasn't written. It was just, right, there we go. First draft, go.
Yeah.
In my
Definitely first draft. They're all a first draft, aren't they? Especially the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex Bat said it got weird after there was a doctor jumping around in his pants. Don't mention that if my mother's watching because she hated that. My mother was there watching the what was it called?
The Giggle. Yeah.
And she was horrified by it. Why isn't he dressed? What's going on? And I said, I don't know. I don't even understand this bi-generation thing. Sorry. No, she didn't like that at all. Noodle Arms is saying the Dalek comics were pretty good in their day. The original ones from the TV 21, you talking about Noodle Arms? They're brilliant. I do like the Marvel ones, though, when they turned up in something. In case you haven't seen it, spoilers if you haven't read it yet. But they're great stuff. Steve Braddock, it's funny because Bill Potts looked a lot like the comic Sharon. Well, that's a point.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Except Sharon wasn't a Immune.
Well, she never mentioned it, if she did.
Well, she left with a fella, didn't she?
I like Bill. Yeah.
Was
That means
Bill
nothing
Potts-
these days, does it? Let's be honest. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
was Bill Potts a lesbian?
I believe so.
Apparently
Yes.
so.
She did mention it
Who
once or
knew?
twice. Yeah.
I must have missed that.
Yeah.
I like this point from Rick Storm. Magog from Iron Legion was ripped off for school reunion Krillitanes. Do you know I've only just the penny's just dropped with me on that? Yeah, I see what you're
Of
saying there,
course,
Rick.
yeah. So I mean, yeah.
That whole look, it's very similar, Rick. I hadn't
Yeah.
realised because I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, well done. Stephen O'Neill's with the same rumour has it. Announcements about the future of Doctor Who and Tomorrow's Unleashed, but don't hold your breath on that as it depends on when it was filmed. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that, Stephen, coming up in the show, so please stay with us. Steve Wolver. Paul Tosland saying to us, from what I've heard from different sources, Disney advised the BBC they wouldn't be renewing the contract before this season even aired. There was no talks, nothing. The BBC are waiting until after the spin-off. You could be right, Paul. I totally believe that Disney would have informed them months ago we're not going ahead. Because the reshoots, as we know, were just after Christmas, which means Russell had to write something before Christmas. And I still feel very sorry for Callahan Ford. Never mind Radio Times going on saying, no, Ncuti deserve more and deserves praise. No, he bloody doesn't. But Callahan Ford was really, after all these years, after 50-odd years, wasted on a storyline that's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
What was the point? And did you hear the rumor, everybody, about what the original thing? You know, when we were talking about, we know that it was all in a party atmosphere, whether it be a club or if it was the unit tower redress, wherever it was going to be. And they were in a party celebrating the fact that the Rani and Omega had been defeated. And then the camera apparently was going to pan up, allegedly, up to a gantry where Susan was standing watching them.
Yeah.
And that would have been the lead into a possible third series. But did you hear what the twist in that was?
No, what's the twist?
She takes the hand of Poppy and says, "Come on, Mum."
Oh God, they're just doing River Song all over again, aren't they? Let's be honest. Yeah.
It could have been worse.
Yeah.
Because they would have destroyed Susan's character as well as the Doctor's, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Completely.
Why do they have to? Why do they have to explain everything? The thing's called Doctor Who.
Yeah.
We know what we need to know about his origin. But Chibnall and RTD, was RTD trying to triumph Chibnall, do you think, with, I'm going to explain the origins of Susan now?
Yeah.
I think they're trying to do it to show how clever they think they are. You know, I've got it all worked out, aren't I clever? And whatever I decide, you have to follow with because it's on telly, so it's canon.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a God complex with them, really. But it's just an alternate universe Doctor Who to me, so it counts for nothing.
Yes.
It stands for nothing.
Ian explained this on our Wednesday headlines here, that he's now got this personal canon that this is an alternative universe. It's so easy to explain and do that. So I'm
Yeah.
going with that theory. In fact, I might just do what I did with Whittaker and write the whole thing off.
Yeah,
And just
There's
stick
so
with
much that he's brought back from the classic series, but he's changed it so it's actually no relation whatsoever. Just like, you know, the most recent thing, Omega, which we've talked about before. Omega was not an evil Time Lord who was imprisoned by the Time Lords. So it has to be an alternate universe. It has to be. So I'm just writing everything from 2005 off based on that. And the original series up to McGann is pure, for want of a controversial term.
I think
Unsullied.
that's the brilliant thing about being a fan, isn't it? You can do what you want with it. These fans that insist that you have to follow it, you don't. And I was having a discussion, shall we say, with some idiot online recently this week, who's insisting that Whittaker, I'm wrong because I won't accept Whittaker, Martin, Hurt, Gatwa. Is there another one in there? Or the David Tennant one, the second one. I won't accept them as the Doctor. I think it's been ruined completely now, so I won't accept them. And anything that comes along with that, no, it's not for me. Didn't like it. Doesn't go on the shelf. Doesn't count. And then she was insisting that Bog Fanish is also canon, which I won't have either on there, any of that. So, and I said, well, what about the books? What about the books? And you've got to include the books and the Panini comic strip, which has been going longer than the books, which has been going longer than Bog Fanish. What are you going to? So where's this? And tie themselves up in knots with their argument. It's like, no, that's the beauty.
Well,
if you want to do it, but I'm not going to.
How would they stitch in? How would they stitch in the Doctor traveling with John and Gillian in the very early comic strips?
Yeah.
Where did John and Gillian fit in?
Exactly.
They were his grandkids and they were human. Retcon that. If that's the way they want to play it.
That was pre-Susan, obviously, clearly, because that's what happened there. Yeah.
You can't go mad with this, but as I say, don't give RTD or Moffat or Chibnall ideas, because I'm very surprised that John and Gillian didn't turn up.
They did turn up in the comic strip, didn't they? In a Paul McGann strip, it was like some kind of dream he was having or something.
It was a dream, wasn't it? It was a nightmare for him. Yeah, and I wonder
exactly.
why.
Yeah.
PTA, thank you for your super chat. Shooty's portrayal of the Doctor was homophobic, pandering to 70s stereotypes that gay men flounce around, call people honey, and word skirts. No. I mean, the whole queer movement is homophobic anyway, isn't it, PTA? And their ideology, which is supported by the likes of RTD and all his cult around him, seem to turn a blind eye to the homophobia from their devotees, if you like, from the people around them. Oh, it's exhausting, isn't it?
Heterophobic and racist as well, in my opinion. There was so
on the
much
other side,
hate on that, and hate for straight people. It was horrendous. So
I think this article from the Radio Times, it's just shallow. Another shallow, empty thing. Yes. He doesn't deserve any. He's certainly not up there with Eccleston.
No, God, no.
No. I'm so glad he didn't get the chance to mess with Susan, says Paul Schlafter. That was something I was really bothered about. Thank goodness it didn't happen. Leave her alone. Let's just hope there isn't a third series. Because he's got them ready. He's got ideas, and they would have been based on 3 years ago. So it's so out of date, and he's so bloody lazy. He wouldn't even try doing something new. They keep looking back and try to rewrite what was already gone, and it's trash, says Carwin Morris. Cody is saying it's just bad fan fiction. Yeah,
it's the worst. Yeah.
Well, it's ridiculous, isn't it? They're trying to find a new streaming partner, but who's going to want to pick up another channel's flop, said Paul Tosland. That's what we've been saying on the show for some time. DC Games should have ended with Susan taking the hand of a CGI Arnold and saying, "Come along, grandfather, you don't want to see this." That would have made more sense, I think.
It would have, yeah.
DeMorpin's with us saying, the way RTD went from the jubilant and promising the moon to it's always the case we've been waiting until after Series 2 airs to hear from Disney made it clear to me that Disney had already said no. Yeah.
We've all kind of said that. It's like really weird. You'll wait till the end of the second season to say whether or not you're a third. I mean, really? Are we that stupid, Russell, do you think? Obviously,
Yeah. Lex, thank you for your super chat. RTD has become the ultimate villain, killing our beloved Time Lord. Please don't ever come back, RTD, from Doctor Who. R.I.P. Doctor Who. This is what BBC Studios needs to hear. We don't want him. What he's writing And if you're signing it off, hang your head in the shames, because it's not Doctor Who and it's not what we like. Please look at your ratings. Please look at our show. Please look at what people are saying in the chat. Please look at your sales figures. People don't want this. We want the Doctor back, and we want science fiction back. It's as simple as that. We want bug-eyed monsters and Daleks and Cybermen and exciting adventures in time and space. We don't want to be Lecter 2. I know the BBC's good at that, they think, and they do it an awful lot, but we don't want it. It's just a shame, isn't it, that it got to that point?
Yeah.
It
It's a
really
wasted
is.
opportunity. It really is. That's what's so frustrating about it, you know?
Yeah, all that money that they had, and it didn't show, and they couldn't be bothered with it.
You've got to really go some to waste that amount of money and have nothing to show for it. You really have to.
Yeah.
I want to see a special kind of idiot, doesn't it, to do that?
Yeah, yeah.
In the Doctor Who universe where the Time Lords were still around, I would love to see a story where the High Council found a way to return Omega to Gallifrey with a new body, says Dave Harding. Yeah, the whole point about Omega, though, he was driven by the fact he didn't get that chance. That's part of who he is. That's why Omega is mad. And because he's been by himself for millennia, that's driven him mad as well. Remember, it was always his will that kept him alive. He created the world around him. There was no way. There was a scientific reason for it as well. Antimatter and matter.
Yeah.
You know,
I kind of wish, in a way, as much as I don't mind Arc of Infinity, I wish he only appeared in the Three Doctors, because that was legend enough on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although I do like the story that Davison says that he's a better Doctor, could take one of him rather than three of him to defeat him, which was quite interesting.
That's a good one, that one. Yeah. But yeah, I mean
the whole concept. Sorry, the whole concept of Omega, the way that he'd been there and he was trapped, but he didn't realize that his proximity to that singularity had basically made his body waste away, burn away to nothing. And it was just his will. There was nothing in that costume.
And that's a fantastic idea, isn't it? It's a wonderful. And he takes the helmet off. That is amazing. It's such an incredible moving moment and quite frightening and sad at the same time. It's incredible.
Yeah, you hear that scream that he gives. You feel the pain in it and everything. And they just took that and made it look like something from The Mummy Returns.
Yeah. For me, it shows how tired this show now is. It's 20 years old. It's a tired, boring, unadventurous, unpopular show. Sadly, it's had its heyday. It's done now, and we're going to come to that in just a second. But it shows because it's now looking at other aspects for an influence, and it copies them.
Yeah,
you know, and it's brought in all the soap opera elements that RTD is so good at, and it shouldn't be in Doctor Who. You know, all this love and romance and all this nonsense with Rogue and shoehorned in deliberately to upset what was left of the fan base, to try and recreate the character, because not one of them was brave enough to come up with their own version, because no one would pick it up.
Yeah,
I reckon. Simple
like you said, he should have had the balls to start it from Series 1, Doctor 1, when he brought it back in 2005, but he didn't have the balls, and he wanted it to ride on the coattails of everybody else's work up to 1996, which is a theme that he carried on, pinching everybody's work, wasn't it?
Yeah. We've got Time Lord Victorious, our very own Emilio. Hello, mate. How are you? There is so much baggage now with the show. Strip it back to its bones. Focus on great sci-fi stories. No old references, so the general audience can watch without being confused and can invest in it. Yeah. How long it would take, though, is another question, because there's been various people coming out now over here in the UK in the media, some of them saying it needs a good 10 years. We've been saying on this show anywhere between 2 to 3 might do it, as long as they can find the right executive team. And I'm talking producer, exec producers, showrunner, if that's what you want to call it. I think that whole format personally needs to disappear, and we need to go back to producer and script editor personally. But as I've been told on a couple of occasions, that's not how television works today. Why not? Why is that? Why can't television work that way today, guys? Please tell me.
I don't see why not. If it worked before, why can't it work now?
I think
Or at
they're
least
trying to emulate-
have 3
they're
script
trying-
editors for Russell. That'd be at least be good. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want him anywhere near it personally.
We're just trying to emulate the American system, but it was
Yeah.
an American system from the 70s and 80s, wasn't it? They've always had that
Yeah.
style of things, but then their style of television is different from ours. Whereas this was, I hate using the term quintessentially British, but that style of doing things was, and it worked. It really, really, really did work. But naturally, the one thing that they should have copied from classic series, they didn't.
Yeah, and they didn't, and they lost the essence of the Doctor by making him emotional and human and have human approach. And in fact, the nearest we ever got to a Doctor I recognised, I have to say, it was Capaldi, and what crappy scripts he got.
Yeah.
But I recognised his Doctor. He couldn't even. The performance of Capaldi was so incredibly good. He couldn't even hold the companion.
Yeah.
That bit in Deep Breath where he goes to hug Clara, where she hugs her. He doesn't know. That's a brilliant performance, that, because there's the Doctor again.
Yeah.
And Capaldi knows that because he's an uber fan. So anyway,
And that time when he met Clara and she was really old, and he just saw Clara, he didn't recognise the advanced years. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Mm.
I really wish they'd ended Clara at that point. I don't mean killed her. I meant just ended the character at that point, and they moved on to someone new for the next season. That'd be much better,
Yeah.
Dr. Matt Studios telling us, I wouldn't know personally. I stopped watching TV 15 years ago. You haven't missed much.
Yeah.
Honestly, you've missed nothing. And you've certainly not missed much in Doctor Who, alleged Doctor Who, as far as I'm concerned. How long have we had now? When did Capaldi leave? Was that 2017?
2017. So that's 8 years ago.
Wow.
Christmas 2017, yeah. So
it would have been easier, I think, to take the show off if they didn't want Capaldi there, which is what we hear, to take the show off the air and bring it back now. That would have been quite easy, wouldn't it? Start preparing it now to bring back. But as far as that article is concerned in the Radio Times, everyone, to Olivia Garrett, with respect, we disagree completely.
Yeah.
Strikes me as a bit of a paid shill.
Possibly. I'll tell you somebody who isn't, though. And happy birthday for yesterday to Gareth Roberts. Gareth Roberts, of course, has written some fantastic Doctor Who stuff in his time. I'm not just talking about the scripts, but I'm, of course, talking about some of the novels, which captured, for me, the Fourth Doctor, Romana and K9 perfectly, and had that twinkle in the eye, as it were, if you can have that in a book. But just wonderful stories. Gareth, of course, was taken on by RTD back when the series came back, and he wrote several scripts in the Russell T. Davies time, first year, and into this Moffat era as well. He's not of any sort of persuasion at the moment, really, is he? He's just very much out of love with Doctor Who as well. And this week, this hit in The Spectator. Doctor Who needs a break. Straight to the point there, everybody. In typical Roberts manner. Straight to the point. Doctor Who needs a break. This is an interesting article, everybody. Let's have a look at this together. 20 years on from its spectacular revival, it looks like Doctor Who might not be returning to our screens again in the immediate future. I haven't actually watched Doctor Who for a long time, but because I wrote an awful lot of it for years on television, but also books, comics, radio plays, yogurt pot labels, you name it, people always ask me what I think should become of it. My answer? I'd cancel it and flee for the hills. 20 years is an incredible run, almost equaling its original marathon from 1963 to 1989. In TV parlance, it needs to be rested. Stepping back from a thing enables you to see it from the outside, which has been quite a jolt. I've seen Doctor Who whizzing by from the corner of my eye for years now, the way others see it. From that buzzard's eye view, it seems like absolute screaming madness. When any long-running endeavour hits trouble, you have an opportunity to really peer at its fundamentals. What is it for? Who is it for? Is it worth all our bother? Like the Conservative Party, Doctor Who is a lingering institution fashioned in and for a lost age. Perhaps we need a Badenoch-style analysis of what went wrong. Firstly, and it seems incredible it should be necessary to say this, but Doctor Who does not contain the meaning of life. It should never go anywhere near the profound, except in the lightest and most playful terms. There is nothing wrong or small about being a weekend treat that's mainly for children and indulgent parents. There are many slight passing things that enhance life, but we don't look to bouncy castles or trips to the zoo to reveal the secrets of existence or politics or anything else. Doctor Who was born in an age when we didn't need to rabbit on about our values, and certainly not in our pulp pop culture. Looking back 20 years on, its revival in 2005 as a prestige production was a warning sign that something was very wrong with the TV industry in general, as if Basil Brush was back, but written by Dennis Potter and freighted with mortal significance. In its original run, it had the unique ability to lift up TV writer hacks and make them fly a little. The revival sometimes seemed to have the reverse effect. It is unique in several ways. It is not another sci-fi in the accepted sense, more a very peculiar genre of its own, and it is absolutely not a saga, more a fun trip somewhere new every story. My iron law of Doctor Who is that if something carries over from one story to another, barring the Daleks, it's almost always going to be a bucket of incomprehensible nonsense. But that picaresque fly-by-night quality at the core of the thing is, and now I can never say this, anathema?
Anathema,
to modern TV, which is all about sagas, journeys, and arcs. To be fair, the makers of Doctor Who tried to pare it back to basics in 2018 for the first series featuring Whittaker, but it unfortunately just wasn't good enough. When that didn't set the world alight, they panicked and threw the kitchen sink of the series' baffling history and lore at it to ever-diminishing returns. Another issue is Doctor Who himself. He is not a character part, but a personality part. He is lovable and fun to watch, with entertainingly naughty and askew interactions. Tom Baker and Matt Smith did this particularly well. You can run a show for years on that simple basis, refresh for a new generation of youngsters with a new actor every few years. A few gags, a few scares for the kiddies, end of. But if you treat the Doctor as an acting part, which we did, you very swiftly run out of new things to say, and he becomes a pompous, maudlin Burke. The whole affair starts to revolve around him as a fetish. Everyone starts up with cod poetry dialogue. He's like ice, fire, rain, and stars, etc., etc. Yeah. He just can't take that weight. See also James Bond and Batman. Angst and the Doctor just doesn't ring true, and pretty much nobody tunes in to see him all of a tear-stained dither. This show is meant to be a treat for the young at heart, a liberation from the drudgery of work and school. It is absolutely not for its obsessives. They will always watch, even if, and especially if, they hate it, and are the very last people to be catered to. Content that drives social media engagement is the wild goose of the modern TV industry. Having a silo of a few thousand tweeting nutters makes absolutely no difference to your bottom line, and they scare normies off your brand. Because Doctor Who is for everybody, one fine, far-off day, somebody may remember that, and though it seems impossible right now, it could thrive again in whatever shape the media takes in the future. But I'm afraid the TARDIS needs a prolonged period among the mothballs. There you go. What do you think?
Well, I agree with the fact that they've humanised the Doctor to such an extent he's no longer the hero of the show, which makes it not that engaging at all, does it? Let's be honest. He's right, you know.
I love Gareth. I love his books. I love his TV stories and everything else. He's a quality writer, and he gets Doctor Who.
Yeah,
it's such a tremendous shame that somebody that didn't get Doctor Who was allowed to produce it.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything in that article that I would disagree with. I really don't. You know, the point that he makes about, you know, unless it's like a Dalek story, then there's a little bit of continuity or whatever. Continuity is best left out of it. And absolutely right. Absolutely right. I can see why RTD would never have him back on the show when he was running it and everything, because he knew it better than he did.
Well, he's
and
a
he wrote
threat,
it
isn't he? That's the thing.
Yeah. And we know how thin a skin RTD has, and probably Moffat and Chinballs as well. And don't think they could have coped having somebody like Gareth around that was producing stuff that was streets ahead of what they were doing.
Yeah. I thought it was very honest of Gareth. He hasn't spoken about, I mean, Gareth has been on this show. He has been here, and we talked about this, by the way. This was his book. This is called Gay Shame, The Rise of Gender Ideology and the New Homophobia. This is what he came on to talk about. It's still available. It's a great read. I would recommend it. And some of the stuff that Gareth talks about in here, in this particular day and age, is coming true. Like here in the UK, some of the prides not going ahead this year. I've got that planned to be talked about in another show. But this is Gareth's book. There it is there. He came to talk to us about that. So if you want to, after the show, you can go and look at that. It's in the playlist for headlines. And we didn't talk about Doctor Who. We talked about that, and he hasn't talked about Doctor Who for some time because he has left it. He's been one of the fans that has left the show because he was told to, and because there was there's just the fact he wouldn't say they were all bosom buddies, but nobody talks to each other anymore. Put it that way, because that's the modern world today, isn't it? Nobody can agree to disagree anymore. You get judged wrongly in this one as well, in this case. But this is the first time I've seen him in years even acknowledge Doctor Who. And he goes to the jugular, really, in a very polite and professional, unemotional way.
But it's actually good that he's able to do that, because it is like, when we said already, people seeing the light, and to get someone who's such a clever writer to express it the way he's expressed it in a really professional way, like you say. Yeah. And he's had the balls to do that, and good for him, I have to say.
Yeah. And on this occasion as well, he's writing for a publication, The Spectator, that will allow free speech.
Yeah.
One of the few left in our country. Legion of James has been waiting for a while. They're higher. Gareth writes the truth, and his article perfectly captures the reality of what has gone wrong and why. This article clearly laid out exactly why this is where the show has ended up, tired and dead. Wow, thank you for that, Legion of James. Well said. Matthew Pounder, don't compare Dennis Potter with this drivel. He wasn't really, though, was he? He was saying that, he was actually doing the other way, wasn't he? He was sort of slagging it off, saying, Basil Brush. There's a picture there. And Jill Sherwood saying, now this makes sense. Well said, Gareth Roberts. Common sense is still alive and kicking. What did you reckon to it, Ian?
I love that article. But I really did. I read it a couple of times, to be quite honest, because it is behind a paywall, but you can get there as a freebie if you put your email address in and subscribe to it. And it was well worth it. I think, like you said, Paul, we'd all think it, we'd all say it, but we probably wouldn't be able to write it with such good words as he has. We would probably get to the same point, but probably with 5 times as many words and a lot more clunkier sounding.
And more swearing probably in as well.
Oh, a hell of a lot more swearing. That's an absolute guarantee. But the way he does it, with his very concise, very to the point, arguments perfectly made, backed up, evidenced, everything.
It's a very honest article, that's the thing I like about it. Yeah.
Yes, it is an honest. And Gareth is very honest these days, because he can afford to be not financially, but he can afford to be in himself. I think he's found this position now where he's basically able and comfortable enough to feel that he can say things because nobody's going to get at him. Do you know what I mean? And I like that. I like that. We've got Dalek Lives Matter saying, if it's treated, if Doctor Who is treated as writing for a children's show, it's ruined for the majority of the audience.
I think it has to keep the wider audience in mind, and he's right about the fandom thing as well. You don't write for the fans because that's hiding to nothing, isn't it? So that's what happened in the 80s. It was too fan clunky and made it inaccessible for Joe Public, and that's wrong.
Yeah, I know what I think. I know what you're saying. Dalek Lives Matter. I don't know if I'd agree. I mean, it's not. I mean, if you look at some of our children's television dramas that we had, they were bloody scary. Running Scared, Touch and Go. Magical. And those times they were putting on certain things like at 5 o'clock on a Sunday, the adults would watch. Doctor Who was always one of those things. I've always said it's family drama. It should be for everybody.
From 9 to 90, someone said.
As Gareth says there now, one day somebody might remember it should be for anybody who wants to watch it, and therefore you can't push ideology or particular politics into it. You shouldn't. And that's the problem of the current Doctor Who. That's why it's failed, isn't it? But I think it's got to be accessible for young children. And when you look at our Doctor Who, we were kids when Pertwee and Baker were striding across the television, bringing in millions. That wasn't all just children.
Yeah.
you know,
But if they want to grow an audience and grow a future audience like us,
which they do desperately.
Yeah, exactly. And people who have kids and kids have kids, etc., etc. As Patrick Troughton said, the success of Doctor Who is that new children keep being born, and that's what keeps Doctor Who going. And he was right, you know, if they cater to that audience, you know.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That comment that he made, though, was like a dagger, wasn't it? I don't think he was. I'm not going to say he was aiming it at RTD, because I wouldn't be presumptuous to say that. But it would have been perfect if it was intended for RTD, wasn't it? One day somebody might remember that. That suggests RTD's completely forgotten that or just ignored it. And absolutely true. But I think Gareth is classier than that, so he probably wasn't digging at RTD, but it was very, very valid all the same.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it was, and this is the thing. None of them can come back and get it, because I think it was very much about the whole situation of where it's gone. Obviously, I think he means everything, because there's also that bit there about it's not a massive, big 13-part arc over 3 years. You know, it's weekly by weekly, which is what our Doctor Who was. Gareth's Doctor Who, the one he grew up with, was that every 4 weeks it changed completely, and they forgot what happened before.
Yeah.
The only exception was the Dalek stories, which had its own chronology. You know, you couldn't. So I like what he's written there about that, to be honest. You know, but it's obvious as well.
Is that? I was going to say that that's what we're waiting for. If we got season 3, would everything be explained? All the bits we've not had explained so far. That's
the problem with all this thing. I mean, I think it's rubbish. I know they do it all the time. They did it with DS9. No offense. They did it with Babylon 5. No offense. They probably do it with the new stuff. I think is boring.
Yeah.
If you're going to get the Notwees in, if you're going to keep even fans of my outlook, don't do that. I'm bored with it after the second one. Get it over and done with. Have something fresh every week.
Well, I've never liked the new series story arc stuff anyway, even from the beginning. Because it's all a bit tenuous, wasn't it? Bad Wolf and, Saxon and all that kind of stuff. It's just really dull.
It's just contrived.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Torchwood thing was to push the launch of a show.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just stupid, wasn't it? The whole of what series was that? Episode 2 was because there was a spin-off series coming. Demorpin is saying, Gareth's vision of Doctor Who is too light for me. I've enjoyed some of his work, but I'm glad to have had more substantial stuff beside it. That's the beauty of Doctor Who. I wouldn't say it has to be light all the time. I think you've got to have the science fiction drama elements and the danger around it. But if you're getting enough episodes, you have to have that mix, don't you? And I would say stay within the template, personally.
But Gareth's lightness of touch, the light humour he's got is really lovely, and it's very akin to Douglas Adams, the City Deathy kind of that sort of era. You know what I mean? It's really nice. He's a lovely writer. It's a shame he hasn't written any more. Real shame. Yeah.
Yokai63 saying, well said, GR. Yep. Sean Cryer saying to us, under the current regime, yes, but under the right people, it can work. I think I've missed something there. Cody is saying, not sure I buy it was for everyone. It was for people who enjoy sci-fi and adventure. No, not in Britain. No, it wasn't. It was on a 5 or 6 o'clock on a Saturday night. It was for everyone. You know, I remember when I was a kid, up until the end, there was always people around me. When I was a kid, it was a family event occasionally. You know, my father or my uncle or both, my sister, possibly my cousins, were with me watching Doctor Who. While my mum and my aunt or my mum or whoever was in the kitchen making the tea.
Well, as I said to you, JT, on the chit chat a couple of years ago when we did my chit chat, I got into it because of my family, because they were fans before I was born. So I got like, Paul, watch this, and that was it. You know, so that I was indoctrinated by my family. That's the thing.
Yeah, and the brilliant thing about it is, if it hadn't been for that whole family, we wouldn't have the connection to the series and those special memories. I will watch various things from Pertwee and Baker, Tom, and remember family members that are no longer with me.
Yeah, or remember moments, birthdays or anniversaries or whatever's happening round about the time, and it takes you right back, doesn't it? It's amazing.
Yes,
you know?
yes, and you can feel it. You know, you can feel it, and they're so special. There was that whole thing about it all, and it was just wonderful. And if it hadn't been for that whole family unit, the 90s wouldn't have happened, because Doctor Who was off the air, but was it? No, because it was on all the satellite channels, finding a brand new audience while I was off partying and disco dancing and working and all this sort of stuff. Doctor Who was becoming popular. You know, and the only time I knew about it, guys, was when I go to conventions and suddenly all these little ones were around. I was like, what the hell are these doing here? What are these small humans here for? You know, because they love Doctor Who. They found Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah. Which is wonderful, isn't it? Really
It
nice.
was.
That's what they needed, the thing, and that's what they need now, to be honest. But,
yeah. Yeah, but I think that's why, you know, if they had that wholesomeness where, you know, you had parents allowing children to watch Doctor Who without watching it first, like some of you in our chat have done, watching this channel, you watch it first to see if it's suitable for your children, which is not what Doctor Who's about.
Although there might have been a moment during Deadly Assassin, to be fair, Mum, the Doctor's been drowned.
No, I love that. That's one of the memories I will remember to my dying day, was that day. And I was just like, and turning around to whoever's with me, you know, I think it was my dad and my uncle going, what? And they go, oh, you have to watch it next week, kid.
Yeah.
You know, you have to come back next week and watch it. Didn't harm us, did it?
No.
No.
Mary Whitehouse was wrong, wasn't she? I mean, I could understand Mary Whitehouse now saying that it would traumatize them because they are completely spineless now, a lot of them. But just a little caveat there. But in the 70s, I remember that episode ending well, JT, you know, and you had a book at school, in primary school, you had a book, what you did at the weekend and everything. And I could only write about that. And it was just, and it was that story, I think I wrote about it twice, actually, because the end of the first episode where you thought the Doctor had shot somebody, which was so completely unlike the Doctor.
Character,
at the end of episode 1. And then the end of episode 3, you think he's dead. You just couldn't wait for the next week, for the next episode. You weren't traumatized. You weren't unable to sleep. You weren't hugging your toys, sobbing uncontrollably. You just were excited and you couldn't wait for it. Yeah. And that week could not go past quick enough. And the slowest part of the week would be Saturday during the day, all the way. Each hour would last at least a week, getting closer and closer to transmission time. And then it was on, and you were there, front and center, for the episode.
Wasn't the wait between the football results and Doctor Who starting that felt like an age? Didn't remember that?
Oh,
come on!
Absolutely, yeah,
totally, yeah. But again, it's happy memories.
I would have that back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's happy memories of being dragged into Liverpool or wherever on a Saturday to go round Chester or wherever it was going to be, to go round shops, boring shops like Browns of Chester or John Lewis or Owen Owens and all these dress shops or whatever it was. And maybe if I was good, being allowed to go to the market in Liverpool, St. John's Market, or to go into W.H. Smith or wherever it was going to be, but watching the time. So there I am at 11 o'clock saying, we've got to go home. We've got to go home. It's not on yet. We've got that. But they always got me home well in time for Doctor Who. I was down sitting on that television with a drink, you know, an orange juice or something, ready for Doctor Who. But as a kid, you don't realize, do you? Because it's just got to get home. Yeah. So exciting Saturdays when I was a kid, when Doctor Who was on. You know, it was so exciting. Bill Lowry is saying to us, I asked Gareth a few years ago if he'd been invited to write for Doctor Who again. He said his life had moved in a different direction and he was no longer involved. Well, why would he want to be?
Yeah,
quite frankly, that's a very nice answer from Gareth as well, but it's absolutely true. And Stephen O'Neill saying Saturday evenings were Doctor Who, and Doctor Who is Doctor Who. So let me start again. Saturday evenings were Doctor Who, and Doctor Who is Saturday evenings. The BBC will have a big cap in their Saturday evening drama slot due to the recent rubbish that has been made. The BBC don't care.
No.
It's pretty obvious, because if they cared, they would have looked at the whole RTD2 era and said, no, we're not having this.
Those Saturday evenings in the 70s was something else.
Oh, yeah.
BBC One ruled the roost. You had the football results and people did not turn off until shutdown.
After Parkinson,
After Parkinson, and then was there probably a film again or something like that? Maybe, you know, people stayed with it, that constant all the way through. You know,
we had Saturday night the movies, and they show like a recent movie. Say recent by 6 years old or something, 7 years old.
Stephen and Jeannie Fritter with us. Didn't Gareth Robertson, Clayton Hickman, and Mark Gatiss make a pitch for Doctor Who? I think everybody made a pitch for Doctor Who in the 90s. I think everybody did. So possibly.
I do remember Gareth Robertson, Clayton Hickman writing a big finish called The One Doctor, which was quite fun. That was quite fun.
And Grizz Redford is with us saying it should be a family show. It needs to be. It has to be able to have it needs to be accessible to anybody that wants to watch it. And this is the thing with Doctor Who. It's so far removed now from what it was. This is why I'm saying it's going to be difficult for any future production team to bring this back. It's going to be a lot of work. Now, a lot of people, including Gareth, were there saying it needs a rest.
Yeah.
Over the last day, I have seen now commentators saying things like I was saying before, more than 5 years, 10 years I saw today from one commentator.
Yeah, the main problem for me is that it wasn't taken seriously enough. I don't mean to be full-faced, but it has to be, the characters have to be believable and be playing it believably rather than this kind of, because people used to joke about the sort of later McCoy years being pantomime. This is pantomime, really. It really over the top. It's not believable. There's no believable characters. They're all one-dimensional. It's just, and it's not scary either. It needs to be Doctor Who. It needs to be scary as well.
They just need to understand what Doctor Who is.
Yeah.
And that's why I would say to any future producers of the show, you've got to go back to the 1963 to 1989 run. That's Doctor Who. That's what made it successful. You don't do anything. You just take the gift that 26 years are and you just reproduce it. Yeah, you update it.
It's become too whimsical and self-aware for me. That's part of the problem, I think, really.
Yeah. P. Ferreira saying to us, Roberts was cancelled, so I doubt the BBC will listen to his advice. He's not giving advice though; he's giving an opinion. I don't think he's not cancelled actually because he's still working. He may not be in the BBC's good books. Who cares? Nobody is in the BBC's good books now, unless you bend the knee. And when you look at the talent they've lost, even if you look at the current range of what they laughingly call target novels, the DEI runs through because practically every bloody writer that they churn out now is a box ticking higher. It's very obvious. It's not even the original author, because if it's Moffat or Russell, they're quite happy to say, oh, let this up and coming tick box write it and get some money for it. But they're not selling that well from what I hear.
Yeah.
Honestly. Matthew Pounder saying to us, Barry Letts said just as many adults were watching his run. Exactly. Well, they were because, if you look at Barry Letts' Doctor Who, it's quite mature. But the kids loved it. The kids loved it though, didn't they?
Super.
Because everybody could watch it on a different level. The kids would be watching it for the monsters. Some of the dads would be watching it for Liz Shaw or Joe Grant. And others would be watching it for the actual plot and storyline and everything else. Some of the mums would have been watching it for Pertwee, and
I mean, Let's' era, and you'll agree with this, Ian, is one of the most consistent eras of Doctor Who. It's superb, really.
Oh my good God, yeah. The only serious sort of like mood change is between series 7 and 8.
Yeah.
And I'd have quite happily carried on with a slightly more grittier series 7 style, but I'm not complaining about the series 8 style because it definitely got into its family groove then, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it was just absolute wonderful TV, all of it.
Lex is saying to us for a super chat, do you remember the thin blue man? He was scary and Boy from Space. No, I don't.
No.
Did he have blonde hair, Lex, with blue glowy eyes? Because I think that was called Sky.
That's Sky, yeah.
Oh, Sky. Yeah. I know Sky.
Was that run by Bob Baker and Dave Martin, Sky, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say it again, there was no way Bob Baker would have liked what happened on Saturday night.
I bet, yeah.
Not at all. I can tell you that with assurance, he wouldn't have allowed that script on television. Not a chance. He would not have allowed Omega to be used as the pile of crap he was. Not even, no threat, no dialogue, not recognizable, nothing. And yet when I think of the stuff that Bob wants to do with Omega, I get so tense. But change the subject. Seeking RTD destroyed my life. Well, I hope he hasn't. Don't let him.
Don't give him that power. Don't give him that power.
No, he's gone over to Channel 4 now. Stay with us here because we're going back to talk about proper Doctor Who soon. Don't forget the Sea Devils and Battlefield reviews coming your way. Make sure you're all with us for that as we return to proper Doctor Who. We have got some of the remake coming for you at some point this year, but proper Doctor Who to start off with, because basically we need it. We need to see the Doctor again. Yeah. Digby saying to us, the magic word is family entertainment. This should be something people of all ages can enjoy. That means making it exciting, accessible, and intelligent. Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? That's exactly it. And Sean Cryer saying to us, fan arc is written properly. I think this is that predictive text thing again that throws me when I'm trying to read out your comments, because fan arc is written properly, it works. Doesn't make sense, does it? So I would say something like fan fiction, when written properly, works. But Davis, like Moffat, can't write a good arc, or a good script for that matter.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm certainly even the arcs that Moffat wrote, like The Impossible Girl and things like that, you know, the River Song stuff as well, wasn't that great, was it? You know, the Doctor's Wife, all that kind of stuff, nonsense, you know. But...
Well, no, it was just boring.
It's more relationship bollocks, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, yeah.
I thought so. Again, it was this dehumanizing of the Doctor, and I was always uncomfortable with this. All the sexual undertones that were there through everything, the Amy storyline and all playing on that sort of thing, and awful stuff. And I know he came out years later and said, "Oh, I shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't have done that," but too late, you did, and there it is on a Blu-ray or on the iPlayer or on a repeat.
You'd think somebody at the BBC would, in viewing it, because they do, don't they? They go through it before they allow it out.
You would think
Would have said in that first Matt Smith episode, Amy Pond is basically carrying out a sexual assault on the Doctor. You know, where she has him pinned to the wall and is literally gagging for it. That is embarrassing.
Yeah.
And yet, like you say, out it went.
I was cringing. I remember cringing, and it ruins that episode for me, because that whole ending, which was just tacked on. I mean, no, I'm this is why all this. I keep saying it, don't I? I don't like these soap opera elements. I don't like this real life drama. If you want to do that, go and write it. Don't put it in Doctor Who.
Well, it's almost a copy of Rose and Mickey, isn't it? With Amy and Rory. Rory was treated terribly, wasn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, really was actually. Waste of an actor. Farsight saying to us, "Hello everyone, I'm afraid I have to disagree slightly. A lot of what Gareth said was right, and his missing adventures are excellent. His new adventures were poor. Zampa was awful. I can't remember it.
I remember Zampa.
I didn't mind Zampa.
I can't remember it. I've got it over there.
Was that a planet that built specialist spaceships? Or was that Sleepy? I think that was Zampa.
Can't remember.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah.
But
I
guess his TV stuff is really good. I mean, one of my favourites is Unicorn and the Wasp. I love that episode. Great stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
P. Ferreira saying to us, my main problem with New Who is that it was dumbed down for a modern audience. The original show was for kids, but written intelligently in its sci-fi. Well, certainly the Gatwa stuff was complete nonsense, wasn't it? And it was totally dumbed down because the way that RTD and others were looking down at the audience. I mean, I said it in one of our reviews. If this is where we've got to, with an audience clapping like seals because they think that's good quality drama, that shows you how far society has fallen with their expectations of good quality telly.
But it's like you said though, JT, when we were younger, children's television was like real drama. They didn't talk down to kids at all. It was like real drama, proper drama, and treating the audience intelligently, which is the way it should be, you know. But,
I think they should show today some of the public information films that we saw as a kid, because there would be thousands in therapy now.
Well, the Donald Pleasant one alone is a scary one, you know.
But they were all
the pylons one, you know.
Or the hooded figure like Death that hangs around the pool.
That's Donald Pleasant. Yeah.
Or the kids on the railway.
Yeah. But I mean, there were no holds barred horror films, weren't they?
Yeah.
But the point was with them as well is it got the message through.
Oh yeah.
Because it was no holds barred. If you do this, you're going to get hurt or killed.
Yeah.
No namby-pamby, no pandering around. Not worried about safe spaces and all this, all this nonsense today.
Yeah.
Get on with this. Watch this. Take the advice. Get on with this.
You remember the on one of the Donald Pleasance ones, where they throw the rags into the water and it just sinks down, and he says, "I'll be back." That's years before Arnie.
And much scarier as well. So
much scarier. My God, it still gives you
the one
chills.
that so petrifies me. I saw it on YouTube recently. Is when the kid throws his frisbee into the electricity power station, but he goes back to get it with his pal.
Yeah.
That's really scary. Really is.
Yeah. Flash of flame, and you see his body just fly past the camera.
Yeah, incredible.
The other thing here about this is Gareth, of course, is saying it needs a rest. Does it need a rest? I would say it needs a rest. Dandrew Tales, let me know in the chat. Dan Drew Tales, one thing no one has brought up, if they wanted to intend for to be everyone, what's stopping them regenerating the Doctor to a child or teen? Remember, the timeless child will always be present. Not necessarily, Dan Drew.
Yeah.
If I was coming in, I'd retcon that completely.
And they've never generated the Doctor into a child, have they, ever? You know, so why would they do it now? I know it's
You can't either.
Yeah.
You can't have a certain age of your leading man because you've got to go to school. Your schedule's going to take years.
Yeah.
And I can't.
And how is he going to drive the
lead-
TARDIS if he can't reach the controls for a start? Honestly, I need a
one
box.
of those little plastic stools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Gareth Jenkins, bring a box. That'll be it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And no offense, but child actors.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't appeal
exactly,
to everybody, would it? Because adults would not be able to sit and watch that and enjoy that because it wouldn't speak to them. And
No.
classic Doctor Who always was able to speak to every demographic without effort. And now they can only target one because they're just not skilled enough to write any different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Where's the Disney money gone? Said Bill Lowry and Virtual Baz. And I remember when watching as a kid in the 70s, my father would always say, with wry humor, gosh, I hope he will be okay after every cliffhanger. See, that's a lovely memory. That's the memories we have, isn't it?
Yeah.
Paul Schlufter saying, I think this version of Doctor Who needs Mary Whitehouse. She would sort them out at Bad Wolf. She would have a good go, I tell you. Jules saying to us, Saturday night was Doctor Who, the Generation Game, the two Ronnies, fond memories watching with my family. BBC commanded, as we said before.
Now it's Doctor Who, the two Ronnies.
Yeah. Hello to Reviews, Rants, and Religion.
Basil Brush, haven't we? And stuff like that. It was
Panther.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pink Panther, yeah.
Still remember the words to that song. And you know, the Saturday
Love
night
the car
movies,
as well. Yeah.
Match of the day, all sorts. Wonderful.
Jason Parker saying to us, Paul is spot on. Doctor Who is not scary. How many times have they bored us with this is the scariest ever and this is the most deadliest battle the Doctor's ever had since the last time? Well, they continue to do it this year, didn't they? Remember every Friday night where we were looking towards the next episode? That's what was coming out. It was so contrived. So
the well got near to it a little
boring.
bit, but not really. You know, it tried a little bit, but that was still a bit meh. Yeah.
But again, I think it's because they don't want to scare any of their audience. They are very aware. They know very well, and they are very aware of the audience that are watching them are these people that need safe spaces all the time or can't have their world. I mean, there was even an episode, it was mentioned in the article from the Radio Times, where the alleged doctor, i.e. the Ncuti Gatwa doctor, has his safe space taken away from him. And the criminality of that event, how stupid. You know, it's just...
And there's no atmosphere to the episodes either. There's no atmosphere of tension or excitement or even a soundscape that, like, in the background, the soundscape of Metabilis or something like that. You know what I mean? There's none of that anymore either, is there?
I've said that before, haven't I? Yeah. I miss the radiophonic effects. If you go to Metabilis 3, you can hear something different. If you go to the City of Exelons, there's something different.
Or even I remember you used to go to Scala and had that in the background, that kind of howling of the wind in the background and all that kind of stuff. Amazing, just lovely, you know. And
yet this series, this version of Doctor Who, which is now 20 years old, has never set the scene.
Yeah.
They've never done that. Why? Why have they never been to an alien planet? And it took them long enough to get to an alien planet, by the way.
Yeah.
Which had those beautiful little effects in the background to suggest a different atmosphere, a different sense of being. Okay, they're putting different coloured skies in, big deal. It takes the full picture for me.
Yeah.
You know, they've just not bothered.
It was too busy with loud orchestras, though, wasn't it?
Sorry, I missed that. Say again.
It's too big. You couldn't have sound effects for a planet when you've got an orchestra blasting away in the background all the way through the episode. If it's hard enough to hear the dialogue.
It's such a shame because even if you look at 1989's Survival, the planet of the Cheetah People has an atmosphere to it.
Yeah. You only have to look at our review of the War Games in colour to show how awful and insensitive to actual atmosphere they are, because that's bombarded with music and loses moments. When in the War Games, there are moments where there's silence, like the conversation between the War Chief and the Doctor, and all you have is their fantastic acting together, and there's no sound effects, no music, nothing, and it's you can hear a pin drop. It's amazing, you know. but they lose all that. There's no room for
Yeah.
actual special moments. You know what I mean? It's weird.
It's just a shame, isn't it? You just inspired me to think about that, actually, because, RTD has obviously been inspired while he's been writing this awful series for Ncuti Gatwa, one of the most instantly forgettable doctors ever.
Yeah.
And the
Sorry,
second, the second miscast in the role.
Yeah.
And another one who's proven Tom Baker's theory wrong.
Yeah.
It's not actor proof. But it's a shame he didn't go and get inspired by the likes of June or something like that, which that quality, that depth of science fiction. Not that I'm saying that should come into Doctor Who, because it won't, because the Notwees won't guess it and the kids might not guess it. But he's supposed to be a fan. He's supposed to have been brought up on Hartnell, Cheltenham, Pertwee, especially. Any evidence of it?
Yeah, there's no world building, isn't there? There's nothing to capture your imagination. You don't, even with all the money or whatever they're using on it, or the bigger budget, you don't feel like they're on an alien planet, do you? Really, And I can believe that.
Sean just pointed out in the chat that because most of it's been set on Earth.
That's a good point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because they can get chips right, can't they? Oh, I hated all that. Again, it's a program. I couldn't believe that the Doctor was talking about going to the Chippy.
Yeah,
I was like, what? What? He doesn't care about the Chippy. He just wants to get back to the TARDIS and get off onto the next adventure. Oh, this is where I knew it wasn't necessarily all going to be for me, but I stuck with it until the end of Capaldi. I think I did well. Matthew Burrows, where are the great writers, the likes of Richard Carpenter, Terence Sticks, etc.?
Yeah.
The problem that I've got, and the frustrating thing I have, Matthew, is they're there. They're just not getting the break.
Yeah.
Because they don't fit a box. And I know that I know there are some great writers there who could do brilliant stuff with Doctor Who. Won't be looked at. Stephen Ginny Frith, hot take: Ncuti should have worn the blue suit and bowler as his costume. I'd go with that.
Still prefer his leather jacket outfit, his original one, but anyway.
Yeah, but I think he did suit. I mean, we've never had a bowler hatted Doctor. That would have been quite fun if he'd played it in that quintessential English way as well, possibly.
It just reminds me of one of the Time Lords in terms of the Autons, it arrives at the radio telescope, think of that,
yeah. Well, that Time Lord got it right.
Yeah.
Didn't he? So I think he looked smart as well. It probably wouldn't have been easy to move around in. He would have had to have the suit open an awful lot, wouldn't he? As he ran round.
It was very like Tennant's, one of Tennant's suits, wasn't it? A little bit, But...
Yeah, the blue pinstripe.
Yeah.
Drusty, hello, Drusty. How are you? C.S. Lewis said that any children's story that cannot also be enjoyed by adults is not a good children's story.
Yeah,
that's a great quote. That is, isn't it? C.S. Lewis knew his stuff, didn't he? And he wasn't frightened. He wasn't frightened of scaring the books in the novel, was he?
No,
the children rather. He's scared.
Well, even look at Box of Delights that we reviewed recently. That's another example of a fantastic family story, family book. Incredible.
Yeah. And the BBC doing it brilliantly, because that's what they used to do. I'd hate to think what they would do now. Mark A. Wright, what even is the BBC now? Just a series of independent productions strung together to make up a channel. The BBC died when they sold off Television Centre in Wood Lane. Mark, I'm going to agree with you there, mate. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a shame, isn't it? Because everybody was in one building. There was a sense of unity and family. They got things done because you could go from that end of the building to that end of the building if you can get on the phone. Now the BBC, as you say, it's just, I can't believe some of the nonsense they're pushing out. Honestly, it's ridiculous. It's cheap rubbish. Yeah. And ironically, Doctor Who now has more money than it's ever had, and it was utter crap.
Yeah.
Utter crap.
Those stars never aligned, do they? They wanted it off, we wanted it on. It needed money, it didn't have it. It doesn't need the money, it does have it. It's never aligned, sadly.
I don't know what was wrong with the budget they had for the Capaldi era or whatever it was, because it's still okay. The scripts were terrible, but it looked passable.
Yeah.
It looked like a body of work.
Mm.
And that TARDIS console set they had was beautiful. That was probably the best of the new era.
Yeah.
I like the console for the Gatwa thing. I love that console, but the set itself too big.
Yeah.
So Clive Calculator is saying Doctor Who needs to be Hammer horror for kids. Strange that, because it was for us.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It really was.
Brain of Morbius, Seeds of Doom.
I mean, that's the way to plagiarize something. They did it really well. They did it in a way that made it
Pyramids
Doctor
of
Who,
Mars.
which is very
Taking the
clever.
concepts, weren't they?
Yeah.
They weren't copying the stories.
Yeah.
And talent
even
Wang
had-
Chiang.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
They even had to go with the vampires eventually in State of Decay, didn't they, with Uncle
Yeah.
Terry?
Yeah.
Marco Polo's with us. Give us your episodes. I've been saying since 2023, it needs at least a 10-year rest to let this current mess be forgotten and the show to be missed. I've seen that again recently, Marco Polo. Somebody else, I was reading something today, researching stuff. Somebody else said that Doctor Who needs to be missed, and at the moment it won't because nobody cares.
I think the problem is,
Yeah.
the problem is for me is when Moffat left, I know it was starting to go that way anyway, but when Moffat left, they had to convince Chibnall to take it on. If someone like that is approached to take on Doctor Who, if you have any imagination, you'd be grabbing it with both hands. But he was reluctant to take it on. He didn't want to do it, and they had to convince him. And that's the biggest mistake they made. I think that's where it started. That was where the rot really set in. You know.
Yeah. Seeking Sense was RTD was disrespectful to Omega and the Rani. We're not going to get any argument from me. Lex for Super Chat saying it was in Look and Read, the boy from space, the scary thin spaceman. No, I don't remember that. So I remember Look and Read because when it would rain at school and we weren't allowed out in the playground, they'd have comic boxes and Look and Read was in it.
Lex is obviously older than us. That'd be why.
Obvious, yeah. And Jason Parker saying, New Who always wrote for kids. Moffat was horrific for this. Always crappy fantasy. Some out of touch showrunner thinks the kids like. He treated the audience as though they were thick. Jason, I know what you're saying there. I think it's also the fact that they listen to the wrong people personally, because they keep going on, if you remember, Jason, about, we've seen this report which says that the youngsters today have the attention span of a newt, or that they're doing this, or they're anxious. Well, they're only anxious because you lot are making them anxious because you won't give them reality. You won't give them a firm hand in raising them. There's too much pandering going on, in my opinion. And you see this with people coming through into the workforce as well, where they're all, I can't work a full day. Oh, shut up. It didn't do millions of us before you anyhow.
I need a shift. No, I can't do it. Yeah.
Oh my God, I've got to wear a uniform. The Starbucks lot in America. Them all, wouldn't you? It's easiest to do in America. I'd say, really? Fired. Next. Easy. There'll be other people wanting to work in Starbucks. That's what I'd say. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yes. So it's a case of, I can't remember what I was going with that. I can't remember what I was saying with that.
It was a good point anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you for that. I don't know what anybody's saying about that, about, more than, I was always saying 3 or 4 years, possibly. But a lot of people today saying the public won't miss it. You've got to have a show that is missed before they can come back. And that's what happened in our time, because we were mixed in fandom. Some of us were missing it and desperate to get the thing back. I was quite happy to have it laid to rest because I was worried about what would come to next.
Yeah.
Fandom was in a nice place as well. The stars of the show from our show were brilliant because they would just look in at conventions and they'd sit with you in the pub. Whatever. There was no pretentiousness like we're going to get with this modern lot who will just keep their distance from us.
But like I said before, there's no love for the series at the moment from fandom, really, or a majority fandom. Certainly our age group of fandom. I mean, I'm not going to welcome this back anytime soon. You know what I mean? So it's such a shame.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, we've said it before, haven't we? When Doctor Who won the BBC's 60th anniversary Best Show award, that was a shock to all of us, including the BBC.
Yeah.
But that's where people realised people are missing that show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we need to get that again. So maybe my original thing of 2 or 3 years off could be wrong. Will people miss Doctor Who in 2 or 3 years? I don't think they will. I think it does maybe need to be longer.
The trouble is, JT, though, as you said, if the BBC are keen to keep it going,
they're
going to rush to get it back, and they'll fumble it again. That's what's going to happen.
Totally. Desperation.
Yeah. David Gulvin, I'd like to thank JT for recommending the Gallifrey Chronicles. I bought it and it came the other day. Definitive informative palate cleanser thus far. Thank you. You're very welcome, David. I'm glad that you enjoyed it because I was a bit worried if you'd gone out to get it. I'm glad you enjoyed that because, yes, we're talking the hardback book, not the novel, because there was a novel. But this was a hardback book written by John Peel. And I loved it because in it went through regeneration, Time Lord Society, the Academy. And I think that should be one of the Bibles for anybody coming on board now with Doctor Who in whatever form they're going to bring it back now. And please, 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 not Russell. I'm going to keep saying it. Hashtag sack RTD. Keep him away.
Should never be allowed anywhere near it again.
Yeah.
He's had his chance now. He has.
Yeah.
Totally.
And he's got it wrong.
Yeah.
He's got it wrong. And what's more, they know it and he knows it and he's gutted. I guarantee he'll be gutted.
And he shouldn't be allowed to claim he can fix it. You should never allow the person that broke it to try and fix it.
Yeah.
You know, because there's been no mention of anything yet. And he's busy because his TQ cult drama starts filming any day now, from what I hear. Maybe they're just slowly trying to move everybody on. And we heard about Andy Pryor. We talked about that in the show the other night, didn't we? He's already gone, so that's their casting director. There is now no casting director of Doctor Who. That tells you everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
There's nobody behind them. Let's get to the
Did Andy Pryor only do casting for Doctor Who or just Bad Wolf shows effectively? Really?
No. He did Doctor Who obviously from 2003, but carried on with it for all that year. But he was doing other stuff as well, I believe.
Right, okay, right.
And that's where he set up his production company in those times as well.
Right.
Let's have a look at this. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Lots of you in the chat now, so let's get into you a little bit there for you. Is New Who just soap opera, says Stevie and Jeannie Frith? Well, in my estimation, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Lots of you mentioned lots of other shows there as well. What else? I did have somebody new to the channel there, and I've lost you. I'm so sorry. I've lost you. You're new to the channel. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much. Pop something back in the chat. I was trying to find you, but I've lost you because the chat's going so quickly suddenly, and it's just jumped on me. So sorry. I was going to come to that as well. Sorry. Gary Walkie is with us as well. Matt Berry for the next Doctor Who. Gary, welcome to Who's Views, but no, stand in the corner. Grizz Redford, I love the State of Decay. Good to see you. Yeah, definitely. Robert Thomas is with us, saying the Australian Blu-ray release this week of John Pertwee's debut season 7 is the welcome, refreshing seltzer water needed to wash down this year's dinner bath.
Yeah, you'll have a ball. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes through, enjoy it. That's great. Sliver Wolf is saying to us, if you give them a good story to watch, they'll sit down. That means everybody, I think, not just kids. I think it means everybody.
Yeah.
And Shannon Mills, thank you for your super chat. A major issue with the writing is trying to cater to instant gratification and social media instead of sci-fi. Now, that's a good point, Shannon. And it's actually something that a couple of articles I've read this week, re the Gatwa departure, have accused RTD and his production team of doing. Hiring Gatwa, part of the reason would be because he had millions of followers allegedly on his Instagram or something.
Yeah.
And the other one being Yasmin Finney, who was put in there not to just present the whole TQ aspect and for Russell to push his agenda into the show, but also because he has followers on TikTok or whatever he's on. So that's a good point.
And that worked out so well for him, didn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't come to the show.
They didn't come to the show at all, no.
Yeah. Even though a lot of the people that were watching Whittaker just for the reason she was a woman didn't come to this version. How hypocritical are they all? A 50-year break is needed, said Andrew Parker. That's a loss. 50 years. The BBC aren't going to wait that long. I think it's going to be back more now. Now I'm thinking about it, sadly, I think it's going to be back sooner than we think because the BBC are desperately. We've got this political correctness Russell tried to push and ruin Doctor Who, says Nightman. And it was so obvious in the show as well, wasn't it? That ending was bloody awful. And PTA saying to us, apparently a new leak says Piper was cast as desperation. The leaks have a habit of being right. It was desperate. Of course it was.
Yeah, you don't need a leak to work that one out, to be fair, do you? Because that's fairly obvious. And it was said that she was doing a favour for him, apparently. That was the story, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'd
believe it.
Yeah.
I'd absolutely believe that. Honestly, I thought, oh my God. At the time, I'm watching that whole 20 minutes version of whatever that was, Hollyoaks or whatever it was, the old 25 minutes of that episode, just thinking, I don't like this because I don't like soap operas. I'm not that sort of guy. I don't like them. I can't watch them. I think they're rubbish. Sorry, Joe, one of my dear friends. He loves them all. Sorry. But I can't watch them. And here I am watching it in Doctor Who thinking, get to the end.
Well, it's like get on with it. Come on. It's like, and why are you regenerating anyway? What's the
I don't
point?
understand that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he regenerated because he built up his energy, didn't he? More of
Yeah, but
this
he
coming
regenerated.
actually,
He forced himself to regenerate in order to save the timeline that Poppy was in. That's the point.
which is,
isn't it?
again, I'm going to say that, not a Doctor thing to do. The Doctor wouldn't
No.
do that.
It's not a
No.
superpower. It's not. It's a way to
Exactly.
save his life if he's injured or
Exactly.
ill or whatever.
Exactly.
It's not. You can just turn it on and off like that. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know, Palpatine. You know,
Well, they've trivialized regeneration, haven't they? They've
Yeah.
trivialized it, like in Capaldi's, where he was able to pretend to regenerate,
Yeah.
or with River Song, where he was able to gift some and
Yeah.
everything. It just made a joke of it.
It did. I remember cringing at those scenes, just thinking, "What are you doing? Stop it!" And Paul said it often enough. It's supposed to be the last moment of the Doctor. That's how he gets out. He cheats death.
And you want to
around
feel
it.
for the Doctor who's dying because you're connected to him. And at the end of Ncuti's one, it was like, "Come on, hurry up."
Well, there was no connection. There was no emotion. I
Yeah.
mean, when that Radio
Yeah.
Times article, they're saying, "Oh, she's going to miss him." Why exactly? He was hardly in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get to know the character. The character was just, as she said, him running around in very expensive costumes, squeaking because the lines were so bad. It was just prancing around, being a mincing ninny. That's not the Doctor. Oh, it was embarrassing.
Can we have on a T-shirt the Mincing Ninny? I think it's a wonderful T-shirt. Yeah.
I've got some T-shirts. I've got to find time to do the new ones. Duncan, thank you for your super chat. I'm rereading License Denied about fanzines at the moment. Oh yeah, it's a great book, that. Yeah. Good for you. And Stevie and Jeannie Frith is saying, will the BBC announce something tomorrow? Well, thank you for that, Steve and Jeannie, because that takes us very nicely to our next subject, because
seamless.
Yeah, it is. Who knows? Now, what's happening, of course, tomorrow is on BBC Three and iPlayer from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you're that desperate, if you can't sleep, that'll send you to sleep. Doctor Who Unleashed, which is the making of show, as you'll all know, has now done a special edition just recently, which celebrates 20 years of the reboot. Now, if you don't know the story, it's very, very sad in a sense, because a couple of years ago, thank you, Lex, for your super chat. Fake Omega looks like a CGI monster Jurassic World. Lex, I don't want to talk about that. It just upsets me what they did. When I think of Bob, yeah, he would have been livid. He would have. So I don't want to talk about the bloody idiots that did that. Anyway, thank you for that, Lex. Breathe. So a couple of years ago, as we reported on our show, Russell T Davies had said he didn't want to do anything to mark the 20th anniversary of the reboot because he thought that the general public, would get confused over the fact that they just celebrated the 60th anniversary and then they were coming back saying it was 20. And he thought, quite rightly actually, there would be some confusion. Strangely enough, the not-we's are not there anyway. What happened, however, is that channels like us did mark the event back in March this year. We did a small mini-series where we did look at Rose and we reviewed Rose. We looked at Rose Tyler in our companion piece, and we did the Series 1 overview. So we did do a couple of shows based around that. Apparently, there are other channels.
Really?
Apparently. So some people tell me. Apparently. So some of those commentators did things. Yeah.
Never heard of any.
No, I've never heard of them. Oh, they all seem to be weird kids. But, it's a case of some of them did do stuff. And he obviously, whether he admits it or not, keeps an eye on these people. Some of them have
He must love us then, surely.
Well, some of them have even appeared in the show or have been invited to press launches and all that, haven't they? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when those, and even Doctor Who magazine did something, so that changed his mind, and he came back saying, "Oh, we're a bit too late. We've wrapped. We've done the golden wrap. Oh, we've got this little thing called Unleashed." So that production company was commissioned to do something. I'd like to know where they got the money.
Yeah.
And it's on tomorrow, 6 a.m. on the iPlayer, and we're going to show you when. It's going to be on BBC Three. The rumor is that it includes a hint as to Doctor Who's future. Now that takes me back to that, 30 years in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Where you got the big lovely documentary at the time, and then at the very end you've got the late Alan Yentob at the very end saying, you might say that, but we can't possibly comment. You know what it's like. You know what Hollywood is like. Blah blah blah. You know what the BBC is like. Blah blah blah. But there's no promises. Do you remember he ended on that line? There's no promises. He was bloody working with the Americans to try and get it back at that point, wasn't he?
That means Paul McGann's coming back, doesn't it? You have to do that.
You wish.
This is what it reminds me about. Now, back in the day, of course, none of us knew about that. So that little tentative, the door isn't shut on Doctor Who moment at the end was a complete shock. But it was also a nice thing to be heard. Yeah. Will they try and do something with it tomorrow? Who cares, quite frankly? If they bring it back this early, surely it's dead in the water. Yeah.
I would have thought
and even this rumor about a possible Christmas special written by Moffat starring Billy Piper as the 16th Doctor, I don't believe that either, do you? Yeah.
I don't believe it at all. And I don't believe there should be another female Doctor. Learn the lesson. Even Billy Piper isn't going to bring back it's too soon. And she's not that popular.
Yeah. But they thought David Tennant was popular too, didn't they? So there you are.
Well, they got that wrong, and now he's in the toilet. But the whole thing about this is, if you're going to bring Doctor Who back over the next few years, it's got to be a credible actor again. You've got to go for an Eccleston style.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you've got to spend the money to get him in the role.
More than a year to get them established.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, as usual, and continuing what we've been doing over the last 8 very long weeks, I went down to my local Tesco to get a coffee and to trawl through, just for your delight and delectation, the TV listings magazines to find out what they were saying about the 20th special produced by Doctor Who Unleashed. It wasn't much. Quite frankly, it wasn't much at all. The TV Times did this. Doctor Who Unleashed is number 2 in this week's top 10, according to the TV Times. Sorry, it says the Metro there. Sorry, it is the TV Times. And as you can see, it says this special celebration marking 20 years since the show was revived has Billy Piper and David Tennant among the stars sharing memories. Now, isn't it strange that they're going to put the Tennant and Piper picture in there, because they're the two that people will associate the show with? Yeah. However, the picture, and it's the reason I used it on the thumbnail, is the only one that's out there because the TV Times also has this. They've got it as the pick of the day, as you can see there, 7 p.m. on BBC Three. Unleashed 20 years in Wales. If you're missing your weekly Doctor Who fix after the latest series ended last week, check out this special Unleashed episode in which Stephen Powell takes a look back at the past 20 years since the show's revival. He's talking to RTD, Stephen Moffat and Chibnall, as well as Ncuti Gatwa and Verada Setu, and former Doctors and companions including Tennant, Jodie Whittaker, Billy Piper and Mandip Gill.
I can't believe it's an hour. Normally it's half an hour. That's a long haul, an hour. Yeah.
Is that what Unleashed it usually? So Unleashed is usually half an hour.
About half an hour, yeah, normally. Yeah. Give or take. Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
And there's it's fairly dire. I mean, I think because they did the other originally when they had, what was it called? What was it called? The original behind the scenes show they did when they started. What was it called? I've forgotten now. But the same kind of idea, but Confidential, that's it, yeah. So Doctor Who Confidential started already, and every week you got behind the scenes. And if I was a fan in the 80s or 70s and I had a behind the scenes show about Doctor Who, I couldn't be more excited. This bores me to death, honestly.
Let us know if you're going to be watching this tomorrow, either on the iPlayer. As I say, if you suffering from insomnia and you're up at 6 o'clock in the morning, put it on. It might send you to sleep for a few hours. JFO, hello mate, how are you? Why couldn't they get people back we actually like Matt, Peter, and Freema? No, we'll get Yaz and Josie. Well, Matt, Peter, we're not going to get back to Doctor Who at all.
Yeah,
in any form, even for a documentary, it's not going to happen, and quite rightly too. Matt, Peter, and Freema are all working. I'm probably doing other things and have possibly moved on. Or again, Ian, it could be one of those things, all alleged, all theory, all my opinion, where the actor's agent has said, "Ooh, no,
steer clear of that."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but again, the wording on this thing, if I forget, I want to come back to it. Ask me about it. What we got here from Sliver Wolf, number 2. Wow, how rubbish must the rest be? Yeah. Morgan saying it's hilarious how many of the main people from that era can't or won't take part for one reason or another. There we go. Duncan the Funky Evans saying to us, isn't this higher than TV Times put the Ncuti episodes? It's about the same. It was either number 2 or 3, depending on the episode. And the first one was number 1, of course, the Think in the Week, I think. Good grief, said Richard Brooks. And Sean Cry saying, that's one to miss. Who wants to hear those clueless cretins blowing smoke up at you?
I was going to say, by definition, being number 2 is not a good thing. Yeah.
What's this from the Ghost? They should leave the Doctor as a character alone. Just do Lung Barrow and be done with it. Oh, I'd hate to see that on the telly. Sorry, the Go, bro. I couldn't be bothered. And it needs a smaller scale. That's why we need Gallifrey back. Lonely God and Universe's Ending got old very quickly, I'd say. Very quickly, the Ghost. Jess, Series 1 and Series 2 was such. It cost me a fortune in toilet rolls. The Metro left me walking around with a tattoo on my. She was kissing. I can't read emojis. I'm not the same. I'm older than you, Loss. I don't do emojis. Why's Tennant got a 19 on his jumper? It's not foreshadowing, is it? Please, God. I don't think.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love it.
Coming back again in another 10 years. It's me again. Come to save it again. Yeah, I totally agree. Says Lex, was at my local Tesco in the Old Swan in Liverpool. There was no front covers. It's lost its fans, true fans. It's the end of advertising on TV mags for Doctor Who. Well, let's carry on with this because I want to talk to you about the wording, because in that one for the TV Times, it says, you know, it actually puts there a look back at the past 20 years. Now that just proves to the Notwees, this is an old show. It's been going for 20 years. Why would you remind them? This is a show that's made for fans.
Yeah.
The minority of fans that are left. You know, if anybody's going to watch it, by the way, you can get in touch with us, whosviews1@gmail.com, and let us know what it was like. If there is an announcement of some sort in it, please let us know.
I'll let you know on Sunday because I'll watch it.
Are you going to watch it?
I'm gonna take the bullet. I am. Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember the little documentary that was done before the first episode in March 2005 that was presented by the guy who played Van Statten in Dalek?
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Yes,
That was good. That was good. That built
yeah.
up. That built up the excitement.
Yeah, but they also served a purpose of reintroducing the Doctor to the BBC One audience, and they were quite well rated, if I remember correctly, because an awful lot of people did remember the Doctor anyway, and it built up the anticipation, the excitement for that first episode. Over 10 million watched it. And also there was that other one. Do you remember that other one, which I think was daily or something like that, with Tennant?
I don't remember,
do you remember that.
Was that the one that had the clips from old Doctors that connected to the decades they were from? That they had like a rock and roll years type kind of compilation of clips, and with television of the time, like Top of the Pops and whatever, and things like that. And
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember it now. I just know it was on an awful lot with the build up to that first episode with Rose. But 20 years ago, everybody. But why would you, especially coming off the back of this now? I think and there weren't many magazines that covered this in the TV listing magazines.
As Gareth said, she'd be running for the hills, basically, shouldn't you? To be honest.
Yeah. But I think it was a mistake of them to mention it was 20 years. To be quite honest, I think they shouldn't have bothered doing that. That's just me. Lex saying to you, you're a brave man, Paul. You're a true hero.
I'm just crazy, clearly, obviously.
Totally off his head. But thank you for that, Lex. Really good. Now let's have a look at the next. I've put 2 on the same page now because it's the same thing. From Total TV Guide and TV Choice. Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love that foreshadowing thing. That just made me laugh.
Yeah, the 19, yeah. Again, I just think it's rubbish. And then the Radio Times is the last one. Doctor Who Unleashed. It's just a little article on their Saturday page only. The Doctor fought enemies on screen and off this season, with the Rani and the press making life doubly difficult. Now, amid tabloid rumour about his extermination, we witness a celebration, one that marks the 20th anniversary of RTD whipping the dust sheet off the TARDIS and sending the Time Lord off on fresh travels across time and space. There to remember those halcyon days are the likes of Billy Piper and David Tennant, while Ncuti Gatwa and Virada Setu record their experiences filming the series that reached its climax last week. It all serves as a reminder of the unique nature of this show and will be hopefully bolster the spirits of any fan currently feeling buffeted by the many reports speculating on its future.
I love that. That's such a downbeat article. Like, let's watch the celebration. Why don't you to be good?
That's the other point as well, actually. That's a good point, Paul. You know, because people will remember what Doctor Who used to be like. Because there's obviously going to be a lot of clips in this thing, isn't there? From Eccleston to Gatwa.
Yeah.
It's
crazy, isn't it? They've just given the celebration a kicking, haven't they? Let's be honest, they really have, by saying it's crap now. Sorry about that. You know.
Yeah.
Here's what you could have won.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's it. That's all was in. I mean, it's a very, as I said, it's a bit like, what was it called last week? The Reality War. It was an afterthought. It was a panic. It was pushed through very, very quickly. It was a massive rewrite, massive reshoot, and so was Unleashed. You know, this is a brand new thing that was talked about late in the day because RTD suddenly realized, oh, but fans are doing it, maybe we should do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Copying.
But he did the same thing for the 60th, didn't he? He thought to himself, oh, I forgot about classic Doctor Who. Let's do Tales of the TARDIS. I wish I hadn't.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, duh, you know.
Yeah. Well, exactly. So if you are going to watch this tomorrow, enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Paul will tell us what he thought about it as well. So we are going to be back on Sunday, don't forget, for our season 2 overview. So we're going to be talking about the whole of that nonsense that's gone on from the robot revolution to the end.
What we can remember.
Yes. Lots to talk about in that still as well, you know, because we're still getting over that crappy ending to a crappy series. So come back and join us on Sunday live at 8, everybody. For the moment, though, I want to know if you've got any sum-ups. We're bringing this back now after what we've been through. Last word to you guys in the chat. Just write to sum up in the chat anything that you want to say on any of the subjects we've discussed tonight or Doctor Who in general. Here we go. Matthew Pounder is saying to us here, the 5 Doctors is the only 20th anniversary celebration that matters.
Yeah.
Look where we're at now as well, Who viewers. You know, 20th anniversary of the original series, massive big year for 1983.
Yeah.
They can't live up to it this year. They weren't even going to celebrate it. And quite rightly, I did understand what Russell meant. It would be confusing to the Notwees, but the Notwees are not there. So this thing could have gone straight to video, as we understood.
When has he ever cared about Notwees? When has he ever cared?
No, he doesn't, does he?
About his little cult, doesn't he?
Yeah. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about it all. Here we go then. No. Here's some sum-ups, guys. Lex is saying just to sum up, more like the reality show than the reality war.
Yeah.
Sean Cryer, to sum up, it would take too long. Yeah, I can imagine that one. We've still got Sunday. John Mason, to sum up, I'm glad I didn't watch any of this rubbish. I'm going to say to you again, John, you did not miss anything apart from
not a thing. Yeah.
Honestly, I just complete numbness about what have they done. This is supposed to be Doctor Who. It was not worthy of that logo.
Oh, certainly not. No.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Is RTD woke? Oh, I'm not comfortable with the word woke because
I think it's used in the wrong context half the time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I would prefer far left ideological nonce. Talons of Wen Chiang. It's been purposely ruined off the back of one man's ego. Nicely said. Yeah. Richard Brooks. Hi, Richard. To sum up, Doctor Who has come to an end. Doctor Who will return one day. In the meantime, we have the classic show and we have each other. You old softy, you. But very true. Very, very true. Stay with us here on Who's Views. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel. Please give us a like for the show as well. If you are, have you been with us and you're an existing Who viewer, please make sure you're still subscribed. Okay, got lots coming up for you this for the rest of the year. actually, once we get over this. We might have to have a breakdown after Sunday. We'll get there.
On Sunday, yeah. Come on, have a breakdown then. Yeah.
Dalek Lives Matter. To sum up, it's been emotional, but not in a good way. Totally. Honestly.
Yeah.
Sleepless nights with it all. Stephen Braddock saying, JT, the boy in space starred John Woodnut. And the terrifying talking about, John Woodnut, there's a name, eh?
Yeah.
God love him. God love him. Mark A. Wright, to sum up, the ratings went up week after week for Who's Views. Well, they did. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And stay with us. Please come and stay with us. A lot more to say on it. And don't forget headlines. We will be dealing with what is bound to happen, the rumors, the eventual news of what's happening with Doctor Who.
Who's going to take the blame? Yeah.
Anything that RTD says, anything that's reported. We've also got this bloody war between the Sea Devil thing coming up.
Oh, yeah.
That's
tough
good
and tough.
stuff.
Yeah.
So stay with us as we try and get through 5 hours of that. Looks like it's going to be different. We talked about it on Wednesday, didn't we? It looks like it's going to be different. It looks like it's going to be for an adult audience, so it might be different. And it looks like, as some of you guys said in the chat on Wednesday, it looks like they're divorcing themselves from Doctor Who as much as possible.
It looks more realistic to a certain extent. Anyway, maybe not the monsters, but certainly they're kind of the rest of the human stuff.
Yeah, we'll soon find out. We'll soon find out. And I must, as somebody said, I've got to stop calling them sea devils because they might be fish people.
Yeah,
could be anything. Yeah,
could be anything.
Yeah,
I was hoping
people remember the Underwater Menace way more than they remember John Pertwee Sea Devils, don't they? So probably they have gone for the Underwater Menace.
Well, they probably remember the recovered episode 2 a few years ago, Ian. They'll remember that, surely.
God.
Yeah.
And it can push the new DVD and Blu-ray that's out there with the awful.
Of course, yeah.
Wrestling reviewer Daniel. Hi, Daniel. To sum up, I thought I imagined that documentary just before the first episode of the reboot aired. Me and my uncle had a chat about Doctor Who, New Year, and he said, I don't remember. And he said, I don't remember that. Okay, fair enough. What else? Jess is saying, I'll dig out my tin plate metal robots from Hong Kong. I think they were from Woolies. Duncan the Funky Evans is saying, I'm planning to watch all of Trial of a Time Lord tomorrow. I'm saying nothing now. Brilliant television.
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant television. You can't beat it, eh, Russell? Brilliant television. To sum up from Woodhouse 122, thank you. It's over. Yeah. Fair enough. PTA is saying to us, to sum up, only liked 73 Yards in the Well out of 16 episodes. That says it all. If anyone was pushing me, PTA, to say what my favourite 2 out of the entire year would be, it would have to be those 2, I guess. And Ncuti's not in one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Jill So was saying that, oh, look, the 5 Doctors can be enjoyed by everyone. Yes, it can. That's why it was always the first one out on DVD. Because it was the 5 of them, great stuff. John, good riddance to bad rubbish. Paul Schlafter, to sum up, I'm looking forward to your Who's Views review of Sea Devils and Battlefield. I saw them for the first time when repeated back on BBC Two, and I loved them both. That makes you feel really old. Thank you.
Yeah.
He saw the repeat. Oh. Anyway, yeah.
I saw the original, both of them.
Yeah. We were there on that very night. Fighting everybody else who wanted to watch Corrie. Robert Payne, to sum up, to quote Charlie Brown, oh, good grief. Who's that?
Oh.
Don't know who that one is.
We have a doppelganger in the chat.
Couldn't resist, sorry.
To Snivel Wolf, to sum it up, Tom Baker is a legend, will always be the Doctor. Please show Tom Baker photos at the end, please. I haven't got them loaded on this particular show. Go back and watch the other one. Go back and watch Wednesdays. Wind it through. Steve Braddock, to sum up, I've enjoyed the last 8 weeks of Whose Views that is. Well, thank you very much. It was a long trek, I have to say. It was really long.
We're loving your artwork, Stephen. It's superb.
That is glorious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bok.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
Good name, that. Thanks for that, Stephen. To sum up, not much longer, and we can confine the last 2 actors to history. I've already done that, to be quite honest, Bill. Goodness knows what we're going to come up with, and, where the conversation is going to go on our Sunday show as we review the entire series. Because it just... awful. Lex, to sum up, the Gatwa TARDIS was like a theme park and the TARDIS. Just not as fun. It was too... You always said, Paul, it was too empty, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they bothered with the bloody jukebox. I mean, that was really pointless. It was hardly used.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
he did furniture like the Hartnell era with the bits that he travelled with and brought with him, like chairs and clocks and whatever. Interesting things, you know.
Yeah, or shelves or something like that.
It was
Something
like
like
Gatwa. It was like Gatwa. It was vacuous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just too much space.
Yeah. Hopefully they've learned the lesson. Mind you, we know it's still standing, isn't it? Waiting, collecting dust. To sum up, says Legion of James, can the BBC please pull their finger out and release the standard edition Blu-rays, preferably before I draw my pension? Hopefully very soon we'll get some news. Now I'm expecting two bits of news. Lex saying fire RTD. Yep. And Jason Parker
from a cannon.
Reboot it and retcon everything 2005 now. To sum up, Chris Hansford says yes. A pile of
yeah.
To sum up from Farsight, we need classic Who back.
Yeah.
What else we got? Jules saying hashtag justice for Battlefield. Hopefully we can do a bit of that, because as I say, Jules, I am not going to slag it off like I would have done originally. I'm not going to do that. Dalek Eye, to sum up, we have Who's Views to review proper classic Doctor Who. Yeah, thank you, Dalek Eye. Yes, it's on the way back. So Rosie Mead, to sum up, got my classic collection to watch whenever I want. That's the brilliant thing. Jess is asking about the Sarah Jane Adventures with question marks. Yes, we're going to be reviewing the Sarah Jane Adventures here on the channel as well. Episode by episode, series by series. So we're going to be starting with Invasion of the Bane. Stay tuned. Looking forward to that. I can't wait to see Liz again. Oh, fabulous. Farsight, to sum up, RTD the Craven, say aye. To sum up from Gav B, RTD bought it back in 2005 and then killed it 20 years later in 2025.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah. Hello, Andrew Parker is saying Dodo Adventures. That's a good spin-off. And Tidy Boy, I see Nadia Hussein's cookery show hasn't been recommissioned, so she's available to be the next Doctor.
Oh, good.
She'll tick certain boxes, won't she?
Yeah. 1 or 2, yes. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was a very interesting thing that BBC's done there after so many years. That's all I'm saying. Stephen Genie Frith is saying even John Leakley would have done it much better, Gallifrey included. Sack RTD. Oh, I'm not sure, but well. I think
have you read the Leakley scripts and stuff and things? Good God. Yeah.
Once was enough to read it. I think I'm so glad they didn't go ahead with that. But where that is parked now, over there in the bin, that's where the Russell stuff's going as well.
It's on a par with what we could have got there. Yeah, definitely. I would say, yeah.
Oh, and De Morpin is saying, to sum up, petrol has been in RTD's head for quite a long time. Not for the reason it was in various parts of Liverpool in the 80s, but because he wants a companion called Petrol.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The man's insane.
He is completely insane. Yeah.
He thinks it's a good name for a companion, Petrol. What's he on?
Petrol, clearly. Yeah.
Maybe he's met somebody special to him that was called Petrol.
Well, like a dog.
More likely petrol, I'd imagine, but yeah. So.
Yeah. Honestly, he's just he's lost the plot. No pun intended.
Yeah. He's lost that years ago, surely. Yeah.
Well, he's not a racer anymore, I'll tell you. I think he's going to prove that with his anger, all pushed into this TQ cult thing he's doing for Channel 4, which goes filming soon and is broadcast next year. I think it's just going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Stephen Braddock, to sum up, yes, Doctor Who evokes memories. The Sea Devils, the Demons, the Green Death, and Genesis of the Daleks remind me of Christmas of the Family due to omnibuses. Yeah. Nice. Stephen O'Neill saying, to sum up, come back, Peter Capaldi, all is forgiven. Never. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Never going to happen. Hello, Stuart Barham. The Five Doctors classic, bring back the Raston Warrior robot. Great show as always, gents. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, dear. To sum up, says Sliver Wolf, the Who's Views panel are legendary, aren't they just? Aren't they just?
Thank you, Sliver Wolf.
And Stephen Genie saying to us, to sum up, a better season but a terrible finale. I like the Rani and the Bone Palace and the battle, but that's it. Make season 3 only for Susan.
No, not for Susan. Please don't bring Susan back.
No, if there's going to be a brand new series, it doesn't. In my opinion, Stephen Genie, it can't be season 3. It has to be break, brand new, and no Russell.
Yeah.
Duncan is saying justice for Jukebox. To sum up from Jason Parker, the show is like Dawn French's career over. Have you seen that today? What is she on? What
did she do? What she said? What she done?
I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
She's on Twitter or TikTok or wherever it is.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Gobbing off about a certain war and making herself look typically showbiz stupid. Anyway, now time to enjoy Who's Views, reviews of some real Who and the lovely Sarah Jane adventures. Exactly. Thank you very much. Andrew Parker, are you taking the pee out of old JT? Are you? I think you are, you little tinker. Because Andrew says we need a sequel to Fear Her.
Wasn't that Night Terrors? The same kind of story, wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, see, you've got good memories. I've dismissed all this utter nonsense. Stephen O'Neill is saying to stum up, it's the crap years. Oh, lots of you looking forward to what we've got next. Make sure you all come and join us live with your views. Dalek Lives Matter. To sum up, the Daleks were right. To sum up from Lex, JT, Third Doctor, Ian and Paul are the Doctor Who's in Who's Views. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Jess is saying, I love the Sarah Jane adventures, happy memories, family ones. Yeah. Oh, good. Well, hopefully we can explore that with you, Jess.
A lot of fun episodes in that run, I have to say. Yeah.
But for
and
me,
written by Gareth as well, which is lovely.
Exactly, yeah. But for me, it's interesting that Jess has said family memories, because my family weren't around me when I saw that. So for me, it was just myself, and
And I think Daniel said similar to you, I think, on Facebook, about that it felt like classic Doctor Who almost, which is great,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew's saying, I predict RTT will make another gay drama. Yes, it's not a gay drama, it's a TQ cult drama. It's being done now, and it will be broadcast next year, Andrew, if you're interested, on Channel 4. Sheila being the devotions. To sum up, RTD never had a plot. And Sliver Wolf saying to us, plot, what plot? Yeah, thank you. Anybody else got any more?
If he had a plot, it was always somebody else's, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
Yes, it was stolen, allegedly.
Thank you very much for all your sum ups here. Just found out, says Shannon, Piper and Eccleston will be at a SuperCon in Florida in July. That might be an interesting Q&A. Well, it shows she's not contracted.
Yeah. Unless she's cancelled, she's filming a Christmas special. Never know.
And Steve Hindley saying, to sum up, the cliffhanger to part 2 of Paradise Towers is so creepy and brilliant. Cannibalistic old dears.
Yeah, compared to what we had this season, that is classic Doctor Who. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Dave Sharkey saying to us, so is this the end of YouTube channels as we know them? Our wilderness years paid off when Doctor Who came back. I can manage 18 months, but not bothered anymore. Good luck, all.
No, this is right for the mining, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Well, I'm going to say at this point, I think for some of them, yes, because they've only focused on their 20 years, or they've only focused on the current. We haven't. And all that has been done in mind with the fact that at some point it has to end.
Yeah.
So I think where we are on this channel is prepared now with everything that we've got planned coming up into the rest of this year, into next year. And hopefully you guys watching us and supporting us will like where we're going with this all. Because we've got the C thing coming up. And I say we've got Sarah Jane. We've got a lot of classic. We're going to be revisiting some of the ones we've done before. And at the start of the channel over 2 years ago, there's lots more. We've got the celebration of the Cybermen next year, who are 60 next year. We've started that this year, Dave. We've got more to come at the end of this year and into next year. So we've got plans about that. But I do think some of them, maybe. But hopefully
the Cybermen get a bus pass when they're 60, because I'm hoping for that as well. But,
I think they will. I've got that feeling they might do.
Because I have to say, I was born the same year the Cybermen were created, so I'll get my bus pass as well.
It depends if Starmer allows them to have it or not.
That's a good point. Yeah. Probably not.
Yeah. Hello, Dylan. Dylan Kildare's with us. To sum up, at least we don't have to watch Gatwa this Christmas. Now we can watch something. What's going to be on now? We might all have to sing around the old piano.
The piano, yeah.
And the piano. But thank you for that, Dylan. Well, I've already got plans for us for Christmas. So hopefully you'll like what we're going to be looking about. Where else?
No, I'll go now. I'm sorry. Yeah.
At least it's persistent and consistent.
Richard Brooks is saying to us, we can watch and enjoy our show forever. This and other channels who love proper Doctor Who will go from strength to strength. you got to remember as well that we were there in the original Wilderness years, so we know what we can do. And there's more markets, there's more available to talk about now because we've got the reboot version and what went wrong. That's going to take us 20 years to talk about that, as far as I'm concerned. Anthony Green is saying, I haven't watched Class yet.
Oh, good luck with that. I have. It's bloody awful. Apart from the Capaldi episode, obviously, but
I haven't either, Anthony. There we go. There we go. So you never know what might turn up on Who's Views over the next wee while. You never know. We might get some interesting news coming from BBC Studios as well. And Dylan's also saying, can't wait. Oh, good. I'm pleased about that, Dylan, because there's an awful lot. Somebody was saying to me the other day that they like the fact that we look at the original Doctor Who, proper Doctor Who, as I call it, because they weren't familiar with it. So we were introducing them to episodes. And the email that came through from that person said he couldn't wait for us to get back to it so that he can see. Yeah, which I think is quite nice, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah. Richard wants to know, is it a pass on Class? No. No, it's not. No, it's not. But John's saying don't bother. The only thing I'm going to pass on at this moment is the Whittaker era. I refuse. But everything else.
But so many people want you to, JT.
Yeah.
Well, you can all have a whiff round in the pub and then see what.
What is your price? Let's see if we could get you to that.
Or maybe the next person that suggests it might be roundly whipped.
They might enjoy that, Ian. You never know what that.
Yeah, that's true. Fair point.
So.
Chibnall. Oh no, please, no. And PTA, thank you for your super chat. JT, can we have shows on classic sci-fi movies like Forbidden Planet? You never know what might happen, PTA, on this channel. Don't forget, we're also going to be looking at Jaws very soon. 50 years old, that plumbing shark.
50 years, that's scary. Yeah,
that's worth, I think, marking. But
the shark will be getting his pension soon as well. Then that's interesting, and it's bus pass. Yeah,
we've got plans. Put it that way. So stay with us, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun. Thank you for that, PTA. And Sean Cry saying, to sum up, I'm longing to be able to praise Doctor Who again.
Yeah, and we all. Yeah.
Join us for classic, and you will.
Yeah.
Dylan's back with us saying, yeah, absolutely. It's actually thanks to you guys that I've started watching Classic Who, and it's so much better than this rubbish. Isn't it just, Dylan?
Nice one.
Yeah.
Isn't it just?
That's really good to hear. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go and source yourself a copy of Pertwee's The Sea Devils, which rounds off our Below the Surface season. We're going to be looking at that, and then McCoy's Battlefield, because we're going to be looking at that. Okay. So go and get yourselves that right now, and can't wait to hear what you all think about it. And as I say, I might surprise myself now after years of saying, not for the Sea Devils, for Battlefield, but there we go. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this edition again of Headlines. It's been a great show. Stay with us. Make sure you're subscribed. There's a lot more coming. We know that. There's a lot more on the way when it comes to news, gossip, speculation, rumor, people associated with the show saying things. I can't wait. Bring it on, I say. And we're going to be here to take us all through it together as we look at all this. I think it's going to be pretty exciting, personally. We'll be back, however, on Sunday, live on the channel at 8 o'clock with our Season 2 overview, or Series 2 overview, whatever they were calling it. Gatwa Series 2
Season
overview.
41.
No, because that was implied to Doctor Who.
I would, yeah, that's true.
So come back and join us for that. You can say whatever you like about those 8 episodes of torture that we've just been through, including that end. We're going to have to talk more about that. And I also want to remind me, Who viewers, who was Belinda and why was she there?
Yeah.
Join us on Sunday. Live at 8. What are you saying, Paul?
I was going to say, and why did Mrs. Flood keep looking at the audience and breaking the fourth wall? Why was that unexplained? I'll have a list for Sunday. It's fine.
Why was Archie Punjabi wasted as the Rani?
Yeah.
Why did we bring back Omega? These and other questions we will hopefully be looking at, and you will hopefully get the answers to on Sunday live at 8 here on the channel. Thank you for joining us. The third Doctor in to Paul, as usual. Great chat, guys. Thank you so much for all of that.
You're welcome. Enjoy it. Thank you. Yeah.
Don't forget to like the show. Please subscribe if you're new to us. That would be great. If you are already subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed and join us again. Next scheduled show. I'm going to start saying that from now on, because with this lot, you never know when they're going to say something. But the next scheduled show is Sunday. We'll see you then. Ta-ra, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah.